Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome in on a Monday morning. Is it just me, or did anyone else find it weird that we didn't have a big-time game last night? Either Stanley Cup final or an NBA final. I mean, you got baseball, but I just find it weird that the marquee events took a Sunday off. And I know, and some people were pointing out, well, when they change cities, instead of playing every other day, they play every third day. Yeah, the NBA schedule for a long time was Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. Avoid Friday and Saturday, which are the low-rated days, and people were out, going to movies, going to dinner, going to a show, going to concerts, whatever. They don't tend to be at home watching games as much. So they went Friday, Monday, and they skipped Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm clear on that. It was very odd not to have some kind of championship-type event. I mean, we had, I guess, college baseball super regionals, ones that didn't have the bad weather. The SEC continues to roll. West Virginia. How about West Virginia, the Big 12 representing? But aside from that, it just struck me as odd. And, man, talk about adrenaline rushes Friday and Saturday night. That NHL game Saturday night, that was incredible. Stanley Cup Finals, Game 3 in Vegas, 4-0 Vegas. Carolina can't do anything right, and all of a sudden they score 3 times in 39 seconds, and they're back in it. And then they force overtime, and then in overtime, or double overtime, actually. I guess they lose on just the funkiest, off the boards, bounce back, hit the skate, go in. So bizarre. And that is why coaches say, put the puck in front of the net, put the puck in the crease, let something good happen, right? If it stays on your stick out on the boards or, 40 feet from goal, nothing good's going to happen. Try to put something on goal and see if something good happens. And it tends to be deflections in front of the goal, not bouncing it off the boards, but not the first time we've seen that, not the last time. Crazy way for Vegas to go up 2-1. But the margin's just razor thin, so I assume they will continue to trade punches. And the question is, in the NBA Finals, will the Spurs trade punches with the Knicks? Or are the Knicks going to win Game 3 tonight? And that's pretty much all she wrote at that point. Now, you'd think this Knicks winning streak is going to be broken at some point, right? I mean, they're up 2-0 in this series. They swept the conference final with Cleveland. They swept the second round series with Philly, and they won the last 3 games with Atlanta. So it's now 13 in a row in the playoffs, which is an unreal run, just an incredible run. And to make it even more bizarre, that's 13 in a row after they were down 2-1 to the Atlanta Hawks. Make it make sense. It makes no sense. I have 53 wins, tied for the 6th best record in the league. Not that unusual. I think the Nuggets were a 53-win team when they won it. Maybe the Bucks were too. Somebody else was. So that's not unusual. I mean, tied for 6th, it's a little low. You wouldn't usually expect that many teams to have better records. But I think more than ever, it's always been about the playoffs, not the regular season. But with so many people taking so many games off, I think the regular season carrying even less weight than it used to, and it wasn't, a perfect indicator before. But this is... It's a crazy run by the Knicks, and it's a mob scene in New York. And part of it's because there's New York, and there's so many people, and there's so much national media there. The echo chamber is just louder than loud. But, man, if a city goes 53 years without winning a championship, they're going to go crazy. Cleveland went nuts when LeBron won it. They'd never won one. Denver had never won one when they won it. The Red Sox and the Cubs had their much longer dry spells. It wasn't never, but it was never in all of our lifetimes. When they brought, and all those stories had a certain element of just bizarre craziness, that people just going nuts, I think if Cleveland does it in baseball, I think that's the longest streak there. Imagine if the Jets won a Super Bowl, what New York would be like. Good grief. There are some of and the Jazz are only 1 year shorter than the Knicks in a championship drought. The Knicks won the title the year before the Jazz came in the league. So their streaks are almost identical. The Knicks just a little longer. And it'd be bizarre. But what New York has and nobody else has is that echo chamber. That echo chamber, and it just gets louder and louder. And the president is showing up. Isn't it crazy how winning changes everything? I mean, winning just... The NBA was taking all kinds of hits for politics, and we still see it in our in our social media posts, whatever our questions are up on Facebook or on Twitter, on X, and we still see people who are just, no, the league went woke and all that. And yeah, well, Trump's a New Yorker. He's a New Yorker, and the Knicks are winning, and he's going to a game. He's leaving Florida. See, went there for the tax implications. I can bring that topic up again and get PK all fired up about that. But man, the pull is just irresistible, man. The pull of a winner. And right now, all of New York City is feeling the pull of a winner. And man, if they win the first one on the road and blow it, that'll be an epic story. They found a way to get out of game 2 with a win. And now San Antonio would have to win 4 out of 5. So none of us would expect that. None of us would predict that. Wemby's one of a kind. And game 2 looked better than game 1, so who's to say they can't do it in game 3? I mean, the streak has to end at some point, right? If the Spurs can win game 3, then that sets up an epic game 4. You go up 3-1, you're in great shape. You lose and go to 2-2, and the pressure would be intense. So San Antonio just needs to get one to get the ball rolling. We'll see if we can do that tonight. And, I mean, you write all that energy at home, that's great, but, will it help when you shoot all that adrenaline and all that? When the ball goes up, can they just go back to just playing basketball and not worrying about, everything else? But I have been to a game when the Secret Service was there, and there's probably a few BYU fans listening to that who know exactly, right? BYU went to Dayton to play, and the president was there, and there was Secret Service all over Dayton, everywhere, parking lot, just completely swamping the arena. The path we had to take to go from the media room down to our suite, and we were in back with pipes and boilers and walking all over the place, and there was Secret Service every 20 feet staring you down. Just staring you down. That was a memorable night because that was the night they had that big deficit and set that then tournament record coming back to the Cougars came back to win the game. They lost the next one down in Louisville, but that was an unforgettable night, and the Knicks will get a taste of that and a little more because it's happening in New York, not in Dayton, right? So, all right, DJ and PK, we got to take a break here. Coming up, we're going to have more on the NBA with David Locke and also Todd Phillips, UVU basketball coach. Love having Todd Phillips on. What is college basketball really like and how does it work? And he's interesting, talking NCAA tournament expansion. That's for them, not for us. What do I care? It's still a one-bid league. It's basically his take. He'll explain it. He's right. They're going to add 8 bids here. But most of the stuff you see drawn up on average is going to be 5 or 6 to the power leagues. And 2 or 3 will then go to the, I don't even know what we call them, high major, not power leagues. But basically like the Mountain, well, it'll be the Pac-12 now, maybe the Mountain West, we'll see. The Atlantic 10, that they're not power leagues, but they're pretty far up the food chain. And we'll see if maybe once in a while someone sneaks in from one of the other 20 whatever leagues. Seems unlikely. And then also just recruiting and the lack of rules. Todd Phillips coming up there, and then David Locke on the playoffs. Stay with us. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We are joined once again by Todd Phillips, UVU men's basketball coach. Todd, good morning.
Hey, good morning. Happy to be here.
Todd, where in the world are you calling from? What is the life of a college basketball coach like in June? What continent might be you be on trying to find a player or talk to somebody who might know a player who might be interested in coming in another year or two?
Yeah, actually, today's a good day. I'm actually looking at the lake right here. I'm over in Vineyard, just walking around outside, and recruiting's done for the year, so we're preparing for next year. But, it's been a little crazy the last few months, and so it's good to be done.
Yeah, we saw in the press releases that your University Sports Information released. You got a guy who played in Lithuania and Serbia. How in the heck do you find these guys and get them to come here?
Obviously, there's a little bit of rarity in whatever you're doing. A lot of it is agents, talking to, our players get agents, and those agents, know how good they've done here. And so they reach out to us, and then we reach out to them looking for guys. And so, I think in today's with the NIL and transfer portal, you're getting bombarded by a ton of agents. So you're kind of sifting through that and, the guys you like and the guys you don't. We have a big whiteboard that we use for recruits, and it seems like every new Monday we come in, we wipe that thing off and start anew with new guys, because guys sign, guys, go somewhere else that you were looking at. And so it's crazy how it's changed in the last 5-6 years. It's a lot of speed dating is what it is right now. It's looking at a guy, trying to do your due diligence really quickly, making sure the numbers work, making sure that's kind of what you want, and then trying to make the best decisions.
How much do you get to know the guys when it's speed dating and they're half a world away? How do you know they're coachable and they interact well with people and they're changing cultures and languages? And it seems like a lot of moving parts.
No, it is. It's a ton of moving parts. And how well do you get to know them? I think it's how well you get to know a speed date. You're getting on there and you're trusting a lot of people, right? I think a lot of what ours is return sales, meaning we worked with this agent with this kid. He's like, hey, this kid makes sense for you. And, you got to ask the right questions, which is not easy. It's like, okay, we're seeing what's this talent on film, but how can he translate to be a part of the team? How can he translate to be in a community? Can a city kid come to more like Utah Valley, right? And you have the mountains here and the lakes here, and can you handle that stuff? And so, you got to kind of go through all of that stuff and try to make the best decisions possible. I think in our recruiting, if you look at our roster, we kind of check the box of every board. We got freshmen coming in, we got international kids coming in, we got Utah kids coming in, we got transfer portal kids. Kind of checking that box in all those places, trying to build a team, and kind of really like what we've done this year with our roster. And I think what it starts with is trying to keep guys. We have 8 guys returning, which doesn't sound like a ton, but it's actually in basketball today is really good to have that many guys coming back. And so I think that's a great base and a great foundation for us.
A lot of talk these days with what's been going on with college basketball recruiting in terms of recruiting guys, whether they be in the G League or they play overseas professionally. And obviously you've brought in guys from the overseas guys that are listed as playing professionally. What are your thoughts on that in terms of, is it something that we need to take a look at, or a level of comfortability that you have with it?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's like, when did the rules change? I thought we had rules in place that, you couldn't be a pro, you couldn't play at a certain level, and all of a sudden those all went out the window as you look around college basketball right now, what's going on. And so, kind of waiting for the NCAA to decide that, to have things trickle down, because I think for us, like, none of our guys they're played pro, but they're not at the high-level pros that the NCAA has been talking about. They didn't play in the NBA or the G League. And so those rules need to come into place, and then I think everything will trickle down from there. But when you're looking at kids, you're looking at kids that have played 3 years in pro. Some of the guys we've looked at and recruited is like, oh, they have a lot of experience. They're a little more mature. They're older, which is all good things for us. But now as you start looking at, guys coming back from the NBA, played in the NBA, and now come back, it's like, oh, what are we doing here? And so I think that legislation's got to come through. I'm a fan for cutting that off. And, if you're going and playing full-time pro for 3 or 4 years, that's completely different than a college kid who has to go to class and do all that stuff as well. And so, I'm all for a fan to keeping it at a collegiate level, right, for those guys, and those guys can go play pro somewhere else, and we'll keep the collegiate guys.
But the pressure's on coaches to win. And I have recently heard high-level schools criticized because they have a 26-year-old, and then there was all kinds of jokes. Even the return missionary who gray-shirted thinks the guy is old, we can roll through all those. But nonetheless, when you're the coach, you're thinking like, I got to win or I'm getting fired. So give it a 26-year-old and let's go win.
No doubt. And so I think the coaches are going to push the envelope of the rules, and we're going to play within those rules. And so, I think it's just the NCAA gets a bad rap, I think, right now a little bit. But, like, they create rules and then they just get overruled, the courts or whatever. And so something needs to come through that can hopefully we can actually establish rules, and everybody's got to keep them. Because we all remember, 4 or 5 years ago, it's like, if you put your name in the NBA draft, you can't play in college anymore. That was just a consequence. And so kids all pulled their names out at the last minute. They went through the whole process. Now it's like, put your name in. You can go to G League, and you can still go play college. And so, I think that's all got to get fixed with the NCAA, where they can pass rules and they can actually stick with those rules. Because we're all, as coaches, going to push those. Because you said we got to win, and it's win right now. And so we're going to push those rules the best we can. So it'll be really interesting as things shake out, because it's going to affect, if they go into place this year, it's going to affect a lot of schools. Obviously we know what's going on at LSU and all the pros they're bringing in, and so it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Can you describe it as a free-for-all right now then with regard to the rules?
Yeah, I mean, it's we call it the Wild West. It's been the Wild West for the last 3 or 4 years, and different guys are playing by a whole different set of rules based on money and those kind of things. I think at our level, at the mid-major level, it's wild, but it's within reason. We just don't got $6 million to go bring a kid in from the top league in the Euro Cup. Just played in the Euro Cup, and now he's going to come play for us. And so kids that we're recruiting played a couple of years at probably the lower level of overseas, and so those kids are not going to come in and be, they're going to be really good players, but they're not going to be the best player probably in your league. And so it's kind of, we see it as a far a little bit at this level, but it's not, we don't deal with it on a daily basis, as far as that. But yeah, everything's got to get under control, and it's just hard because the legislation, whenever it's passed, just gets skirted or around it. People go around it. So I like the five-year rule that they're looking to pass. I think hopefully those things can stay in place.
The players you're bringing in, came from the Lithuanian Basketball League and the Serbian Basketball League. Can you compare that to Division I conferences or D2 or 3 or JC or what? I mean, what level of competition is that?
Yeah, they're all kind of a little bit different, right? And to say we know exactly is false. I think we have a good feel of those leagues, and a lot of it's like, hey, we look at some of the guys playing in those leagues. Who are they playing against? Who are the Americans are playing against? Where do they play? And like Modestas is a Lithuanian. He's playing a high level. We got 2 of our top guys playing overseas that play at kind of comparable league. Trey Woodbury and Fardas Imek both play in that comparable league that this kid's in. And so we're like, ooh, he's pretty good. And, talking to agents over there, different kids are like, hey, you like this kid? This kid's younger and he's probably has more trajectory to be even a better player. And so, we really got on him because we were actually recruiting another international kid, and a couple agents said, hey, this kid can come and you'd love him and this is what he does and he's better. And so kind of some agents we trusted is kind of how we got on him. But yeah, the league that he played in is a really high league, really high level. And he was a young kid coming up. I think his MVP the year before in the lower league. And so they moved him up there. And so he was getting some good minutes in a really high level league. And so that gives us confidence as we watch his tape, say, oh, he's making plays against, grown men.
What is your take on the expansion of the NCAA tournament?
Shoot. To be honest, I kind of just goes in one ear and out the other. I mean, with everything we're dealing with ourselves, I think it'd be great. It gives more opportunity for teams. Does it lessen the impact of like, hey, you're actually playing in those first games? I think once you get there, it doesn't. My biggest thing is I look at it as just bringing more average level high major teams into the tournament. It's like, oh, we missed out on the 10th, 11th, and 12th ranked team in the SEC. Now they're going to get in. I mean, I think it's an advantage when it brings in the mid-major teams who like, hey, had a great season, but they lost in the conference championship or something like that. I know in the Big West, which we're going into 2 years ago, they had 2 teams with 30-plus wins each. And they played each other in the championship, and one got in, and the other didn't make the tournament. And they had a great season and beat some really good teams, and they were on the outside because, the Big West is a one-bid league. So I think that would help them. I think they would have got in that year. So I'm excited for that. I think that stuff will definitely help, and I think that's what the college fans want to see. They want to see some more Cinderellas. They don't want to see more high major teams just getting in to play each other.
Yeah, and the high major teams are going to say Texas barely squeezed in and look at the run they went on. And a few years ago, UCLA barely squeezed in and look at the run they went on. And you are going to get teams in at 16 and 14 who are going to go out in one round. But they're going to sell the other story, and the other story is true. It's obviously only true to a degree.
Right. No doubt. And it's actually exciting to see a team, even a high major team who can go on a run, right? It brings some more excitement to that. So I think that's great. It's we're just fighting an uphill battle every day to not get squeezed out of college basketball and what's going on. And, to be honest, I look at it, but it's like the last thing, and I can't control any of that stuff. And as mid-major guys, we can't control a lot of that. So it's like just focus on the present and what we're doing with what we have going on. And I think we've really built something great here at Utah Valley, and excited to, push and get to the tournament. That's our next goal. We haven't played in the NCAA tournament, is to get there.
You talk about how your roster's set, right? I think you said that earlier in this conversation. but there's some teams that their rosters aren't set and they've got some holes to fill. Are we getting? We're getting late now into the recruiting cycle, so to speak. Are there players, or how many players are still out there that for teams who have a particular hole, whether it's at center or some other position, that they could find someone?
Yeah, no, it's amazing. It's amazing how many guys are still out there, and you can find guys. It's I'd say like 3 weeks ago we had our board up, and we were looking for a big guy as well, and we were going down this list of guys that one, we can afford, and two, that we think could be an impact guy for us. And I swear we got down the list like, oh, there's nobody on here. They're not good enough. The guys we're looking at are costing more money, and they're not very good. It's like, what? I mean, there's nobody. And then we come in the next week, we do a little digging, a little searching, and all of a sudden we came up with a really good kid that we found. It's like, dang, he's better than the two kids that we were outbid for. We had a kid we were on, and all of a sudden we thought we could get him. All of a sudden went to $250,000, $300,000. Like, okay, we're out. And I think the kid we got for way less than that is better than both of those guys. And it's just kind of doing your work, keep digging, and kids pop up for all kinds of reasons, whether they decommit from somewhere, they're playing overseas, they haven't talked to guys. We had the Aziz Vandango went to Cincinnati when we beat Cincinnati with Madsen, and we got him super late, and he just was a kid who wouldn't return people's phone calls. He was a kid that a lot of people wanted, and they'd call and talk, and then they couldn't get a hold of him again. And we just kept working the phones with him until finally we got him on the phone. Like, hey, let's get you out on a visit. And he came out and obviously became an all-league guy for us, and was a tremendous 7-foot center that, tons of people are like, oh, how'd they get him so late? So there's guys out there. There's still guys out there, and they'll pop with some good players late.
When Utah and BYU got in the Big 12, there was a lot of talks like, hey, they cannot recruit high school kids out of Utah and get them and take the time and get them to play at this level. There's going to be more local kids available for these other schools. But we're seeing more and more foreign kids play, and we've certainly heard this in the world of tennis, but we're hearing a little bit in basketball. Hey, these foreign kids are squeezing out the local kids. I always go back to coaches are going to do whatever they can to make sure they don't get fired. They got to win, and they all know it. So there's that out there. What are you hearing? How much room do you think there is for local kids and local schools? And how do you see that playing out? What do you think is going to be true, a year or two from now? Because it seems to be changing pretty quickly in some respects.
Yeah, no, I'm glad. I hope those guys keep squeezing the Utah kids out, because we'll take them here at Utah Valley for sure. We're making a living and winning a lot of games with good Utah kids. And, I think in the state, if you want to win, you're going to have some Utah kids at all levels, from the Big 12 to the Big West at our level. They're just really good players. Now, there's not as many to choose from when the higher level as you go. And so I think it squeezes the bottom out, if that makes sense. Like, if there's 10 kids in Utah that are Division I guys, more international kids, more pros that are actually playing, considerable amount of time, more pros overseas, you bring in those kids in, that's going to push everybody down. And so more of those kids got to go to junior college and go that route. But, obviously being a junior college coach myself, it's actually nowadays it's a great route. I mean, I think kids sometimes feel let down, but like if you go to Salt Lake, say, and play right away as a freshman, you have a better chance to play as a freshman there than you do to come to Utah Valley or to go to BYU or Utah and play right away as a freshman. So now you have experience, you actually play, and now you're getting recruited from those places to this next level up, and then we tell the same thing to, a 5-star kid out of Utah. You can go to the Big 12 school and you might not play your freshman year. Come to our place, play right away. You're really good for a couple of years. You're gonna leave and go somewhere else. And just how everything is working these days. And I think for us, we got to be really honest with the kids, which we are. And and we tell the kids, if you kill it here, our top 3 kids every year are transferring. It's a great place, but the money is just so significant that they got to do it. Obviously, we got the Holcomb kid went to Utah. The Hendricks kid went to Oklahoma, and then our point guard went to Nebraska. And so 2 of those kids are local kids.
Yeah, obviously. I'm wondering, what are your thoughts on in-state scheduling? What would you like to see?
Yeah, if you want me to be honest, I can be honest on the radio here.
Yes, please.
We love to play those guys. I'm a Utah homer. I've coached here my whole life. I love BYU. I love Utah. I love Utah State. I know most of those coaches. I'd love to play those guys, tremendous places. But like for a place like us, we got to be smart. To do like a home and home every year with Utah with no money involved for us is not too smart, right? And when we look at our schedule and when we do the analytics for that, because we typically, if we go play a Big 12 team, they're going to play us quite a bit of money to go. And we need, we take guarantee money, which is called guarantee games. We take 3 or 4 guarantee games a year. And when you get those games, for a mid-major, you're like, okay, those are probably losses. If you can beat somebody, that's great, but you're taking those to have experience, and you're taking those to help your program. And so, like, hey, if we went in and had a tournament and played Utah and BYU in a tournament, it'd be great, but that would probably be money we don't get. And it's like, okay, there's 2 more games that, if we beat them, great, but the odds are we're going to lose. Now we got to go play 2 more teams on top of that to play. So we're really selective when we kind of work that. We'd love to play, Utah or BYU or even Utah State once a year, but for us to play everybody or to play a couple of those teams is not great for us. And the same thing for them, right? They have nothing to gain if they win. And if Utah Valley comes and beats them, our Ken Palm's 92. So we're a quad 2 team. We're a really good team. But a lot of people in the perception sometimes like, oh, you lost to a Big West team, and so it's hard on everybody's end. But no, we love to do it. We love to schedule those games. We just it's got to work for everybody, and it's hard because we all want to win.
Todd, we appreciate a few minutes. Thanks for giving up a little time at the edge of the lake to talk to us.
No, I appreciate it. I got my steps in today, and hey, you give me a sec to get a shout out. We have our camp. Our kids' camp is the 15th to the 18th in 2 weeks, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So if you got kids in junior high, elementary, and going into high school, come to Utah Valley Kids Camp. It's going to be a blast.
All right, there's Todd Phillips, and great to have him on as always. We're going to take a break. When we come back, David Locke talking about the Utah Jazz and how things are setting up. The draft is fascinating. David is getting deeper and deeper into it. That is next. Stay with us. DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Good morning, DJ and PK. David Locke joined us on Friday to talk NBA draft and NBA finals, mostly draft, though. Obviously, he didn't know the Knicks were about to go up 2-0, and we've got Game 3 tonight. But that is not the focus with David Locke. It's more about the Jazz and the future. Here's David. David, good morning.
Good morning, David, James, Patrick, Kinahan. We're talking. You put the 2 of them together on top of each other. You would have a 7'6" Victor Wembanyama at level of excellence. That wasn't as good today. Sorry. That wasn't good.
A little sillier. It was fine.
Yeah. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Who's your top 3 right now? What's your top 3?
Me, myself, and I.
Yeah, I know that, but Buddha says not to do that, so don't do that, DK. It's bad. Who's your top 3? What's your ranking? You're right now. Your draft board. Patrick Kinahan, AJ DeBonson, Darren Peterson, Cameron Boozer, Caleb Wilson. What's your top 3? Darius Acuff, Mikal Brown. What's your?
I think it's boring. It's what most people would put. And you go top 3, you're not necessarily going based on exclusively talent. And there's something that I want to get to you with you about that I heard you speak about. So, yeah, I would go DeBonsa, Peterson, Boozer.
So it's interesting. DJ, what would you do?
Probably that same list, but with the caveat that how do we really know? They get a bunch of medical info on Peterson, and we don't get any of that. And the thought that you could draft somebody who plays sporadically and is in and out and has problems with cramping. The teams I get the info and get to resolve that issue. The rest of us just sit out here and wonder what was going on.
The more and more I hear, the less that seems to be a concern, by the way.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah. It seems like that's going away a little bit.
It does. It seems like it's going away. I don't know why. I assume there's something in the medical info that's making that go away, but I don't know what it is.
Right. I would say this. So I just asked my kind of diehard core listener group who we have on a private text message thing, and they voted 17 votes for Darren Peterson, 6 for AJ DeBonsa. So I'm not sure I think Jazz fans are. I don't think that list that PK gave is what everyone has. And it's not my top 3 right now. My top 3 right now is Darren Peterson, Cameron Boozer, AJ DeBonsa. But I'm saying, like, if I have 100 little, chips to hand out. I think it's 36, 33, 30 right now. I think this is incredibly we had this a little bit with Jabari Smith, Chet Holmgren, and Paulo Banchero. We had it in Akeem Olajuwon, Sam Bowie, Michael Jordan. We have not had a lot of drafts where these three, where we have this three level of kind of inconclusive who's number one pick.
So let's go with the consensus, and then if the question becomes, okay, the consensus is wrong, where would you expect a surprise? The biggest decision I think that would flip from the consensus would be Peterson and DeBonsa. The next thing I would anticipate, if the consensus is wrong and there's a flip, would be Wilson passing Boozer. What do you think about that?
I think it would be Boozer passing DeBonsa.
DeBonsa, okay.
So
wait, is that one or two? Is that your first one? That's your second one. You think the first one is Peterson passing DeBonsa, but you think the second one is Boozer passing DeBonsa.
Yeah,
okay.
But suddenly the draft was Peterson, Boozer, DeBonsa.
Okay.
So let me ask you guys this. Give me this is where I went today. This is why I suddenly I think both Boozer and DeBonsa to be successful. I mean, overthink, we're at that stage, right? But it's great. I love it. This is so fun. Both Boozer and DeBonsa to be successful, I think, have to have the ball in their hands over 50% of the possessions they play. So I don't think that's the case for Peterson. I do think that both DeBonsa and Boozer need the ball in their hands a lot to be the maximum version of what they are.
Do they have to have the ball? Do they have to have the ball in their hands immediately? Or you were a big fan a couple of years ago of running a pick and roll on one side into a pick and roll on the other. Would they be good in that situation?
Let's go with that. They're the key initiator to the possession. How's that?
Okay. They start the offense.
Fair?
Yeah. So you're saying they have to start the offense 50% of the time.
Yeah. I'm actually more comfortable with Boozer doing that than DeBonsa.
Boozer's super skilled on the ball. He's just getting marked down because he doesn't have elite athleticism. He's super skilled with the ball in his hands. Very impressive.
I'm viewing Boozer right now as Cade. Everyone wants to do Kevin Love, right? That's my comp on Boozer right now, Cade Cunningham.
Yeah,
or let me rephrase that. Let me rephrase that. Let me rephrase that a little bit. Not that that's necessarily my comp. That might not be the right way to say it. Let me phrase it a little differently. He is the model by which I think he's going to be most successful in the league is that he's Cade Cunningham.
Yeah, because Cade Cunningham's going to be more athletic, right?
I don't know.
Really? Okay.
Cade Cunningham, like the book on Cade Cunningham coming into the draft was that he wasn't athletic enough. And if you go back and look at Cade Cunningham,
he is athletic enough.
Early in his career, he really, really struggled at the rim. And what the change that happened for Cade Cunningham that's made Cade Cunningham so good is that he was able to find a way to get to the rim and to be able to make plays at a much higher level than he did early in his career. I'll try to pull up the numbers while we're talking. But that was the book on Cunningham. He was the number one pick. He was this incredibly effective player. Go compare their college numbers. They're almost the same. And, if you just change your mindset and decide that Boozer – so I go back to I watched the final 5 minutes of every single close game that Duke played. In 11 of the final 14 late game possessions of the season, John Schreier had Cameron Boozer initiate the offense. So I think you have to look at Boozer in that realm. I don't, and then you have to decide you're all right with it, right? I'm not sure that I actually totally love the fact that Cameron Boozer is initiating offense every single time, like most of the time. You got to figure out if you're all right with that.
Well, this sounds like a conversation.
I think AJ DeBoss is initiating your offense every single time, too.
This sounds like a conversation we had with Brunson in Dallas. Well, he's a small guy. Why would you have him initiate the offense when you have Luka Doncic over here? But the Knicks take him. They put the ball in his hands a lot. Now, depending on the coach and the composition of the team, not everybody the exact same amount, but he's probably taking twice as many shots as everybody else on the team. So he's got the ball a lot, and it seems to be working for them. And it's just 3 straight 50-win seasons, 2 straight trips to the conference final, and now they got an NBA Finals appearance and maybe a title. We'll see how it plays out. So could it be underestimating somebody here the same way they underestimated Brunson, even after he'd been in the league for 4 years?
And what was it that made people not believe in Brunson?
Probably his
Why did
height.
Brunson go first? He's like first pick of the second round, right?
Maybe the second or third, but maybe, very early second round. There were 5 NBA draft picks on that team, 4 in that draft and 1 in the next one. They had a ton of talent, but maybe he didn't get credit for the winning because they had so many good players.
And he was supposedly not athletic enough.
Right. Yeah, smaller and not athletic enough. But even after he'd been in the NBA, there were doubts, even when he got away from Villanova and he established himself in the league.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone saw this come, right? Like, I think that's fair. It makes a little more sense that, that series that the Jazz lost, it felt so terrible when Luka was hurt, makes a little more sense right now. Launching kicked the crap out of us. No, I have just had to change how I think of Boozer. And so Peterson, to me, just assimilates into any roster much easier. He can play with the ball, without the ball. He's active off the ball. He's a great shooter. So if the ball's not in his hands, it's fine. Somebody else can be initiating the offense, and then you're swinging it to Peterson, and he's attacking on the backside as an open jump shooter that's got to be closed out on. You don't have to close out on AJ yet. I'm not sure you totally have to close out on Cameron Boozer yet. Like, that 3 takes a long time to get off still. So that's why I think Cameron Boozer and AJ both have to have the ball in their hands. And I think that's going to be just an interesting kind of, as time goes on, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. It's fascinating. And we've all watched too much of this one too.
I think you're downgrading AJ because you've seen him and you look at him and you see the faults. And the reality is, of the 3 players that you keep mentioning, he had the least amount of talent on the team, and he had the most pressure because he went to a school that is not a blue blood and is expected to not go very far. And he felt the weight of all that because it was a different decision. And when he gets to the NBA and he's playing with better players, he'll be better and his shooting percentage will be better in the manner that Yegor Dielman couldn't make a 3 for his life at BYU and then went to the NBA and got a lot better.
I don't think that's why, but it's a good argument. It was well done. It was very well done. I don't think any of that is actually particularly true, but I was impressed by the filigree. If that, I don't think I'm downgrading AJ at all. Actually, like, I think they're all great. Like, if we end up with AJ DeBoss, it's amazing. I think you're gonna have to figure out how you're using him, and he's gonna want the ball in his hands a lot. And it's very clear, and that's how he wants to play and when he needs. And he kind of has to have the ball in his hands because he doesn't shoot it particularly well. And so he doesn't have great spacing. And when he doesn't have if you don't shoot it very well and you don't space the floor yet, then you have to have the ball in your hand. And then defensively, he was terrible. But that's fine. Most guys.
But you love him.
I think they're like, I really, truly think, like, I've said this about AJ the whole time. Like, his downside to me is that he's R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, Pascal Siakam, or Paulo Banchero. So he's going to score 20 points a game and be an all-star. Like, now, most of those players got traded. One of them, Paulo will get traded, I think, eventually, because not, you got to max them out. They're hard to play with, and they're tough. So, I do think that's the assumption there is he's credible athlete, great ball skills, plays well in transition, creates offense for himself, never becomes a good shooter. Like, that's his downside. That's the old, and I guess in the case of Randall and RJ Barrett, plays defense sparingly. But it's an incredible NBA body that can't miss. It's kind of the same thing I feel about Cameron Boozer. Like, I think Cameron Boozer's downside is he's going to average 17 points and 10 rebounds a game. Maybe more, because I really think he has the ball. Like, with Boozer's size, the instinct is to go to Alfred Şengün or Domantas Sabonis as your comp. And I just think he's different than those guys. Like, I think he's a ball handler. I really think Cameron Boozer is a ball handler. You're not seeing Domantas Sabonis. You're seeing him play, like, with the ball in his hands, and you're seeing Şengün, but you're not seeing maybe Şengün a little bit. Like, they're bringing the ball up the floor, and they're initiating the offense. I think Cameron Boozer's, like, literally playing offensive point guard. If he's playing 60 possessions a night, I think he's playing offensive point guard for 35 of them. How about a lineup of Boozer, Bailey, Markkanen, Jackson, and Kessler? We're the biggest team in the history of mankind.
Do you think the Wizards are falling in love with Peterson?
Yes. I've said this the whole time. I think we'll decide between AJ, Devonta, and Cameron Boozer. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, too, right? Like, let's just be perfectly honest. I'm making this crap up in my head. My head's not a place anybody wants to be.
We both believe that.
So, yeah, I mean, you've known me for 30 years. You know this to be true. But, like, so I watched Darren Peterson. Like, let's just go back to where we started this conversation. Like, Darren Peterson assimilates perfectly into every roster. Like, his prototype is the easiest thing to build around. He can play on the ball, off the ball, primary side, initiator, secondary side. He's 6'6". He can play 1. He can play 2. He can play 3. He can, like, the only thing is if he got, like, a big 4 backed him down, it's probably not perfect, right? But he's really, like, otherwise, like, this is just, like, it's fabulous. He can shoot it. He can do it all. If he medically tests out, I think he has to go 1. Like, I just can't, like, maybe, I don't know. Like, maybe AJ's better than I'm giving him credit for. But AJ, right now, at least, has to have the ball in his hands. If he's a weak side, if he's on the weak side, you're dropping off of him. You're giving him space. He's playing, he's not a good enough shooter right now that he makes you space out to him. And so you really have to put the ball in his hands and have him play offense. And that's fine because he's really good at it. But it's not, you're now building, until he shoots, you have to build your roster around him as your 6'9" primary ball handler. And we've kind of seen how hard that is, right? New York wasn't very good offensively around Julius Randle. New York traded RJ Barrett because they had to do it. Orlando's having a hard time doing it around Paulo Banchero right now. That's hard to do. And then if you have Cameron Boozer, I think you have to figure out how you're going to deal with him defensively because he's not going to move great. So he's really not a 5. He's kind of your 4, but he's actually kind of your 1. Like, it's a pretty unique little combo there. So I just, when it gets right down to it, if I'm Washington and I'm trying to figure out how I'm building my roster and when I'm doing these pieces, I just can't imagine you're not taking Darren Peterson 1 if he tests out. Am I crazy?
No, I think he's the most skilled player in the draft.
Right, so then I think we're choosing between Cameron Boozer and AJ Devonta. And I think that is to the point we just had about they're both amazing, but they're both really, they're not the easiest things to build around. I think this gets pretty incredible.
Last thing before we let you go. You've seen one game in the NBA Finals. You think you know what's going to happen now, or are you still wondering?
So my take coming in was that San Antonio's the better team, but they're tired. New York's going to win 2 of the first 3, but out of fatigue. And then the question is whether San Antonio can has enough juice to win 3 of the final 4. New York's really good. The only thing watching game 1 was I'm not as convinced. Like, I started marking up player by player, and New York's better. That, like, if you just kind of look like, would you rather have Mikal Bridges or Keldon Johnson? You'd rather have Mikal Bridges. Would you rather have OG Anunoby or Jalen Brunson or De'Aaron Fox? I'd rather have Jalen Brunson. Would you rather have OG Anunoby or Stephen Castle? I'd probably rather have OG Anunoby. Would I rather have Karl Anthony Towns or Victor? I'd rather have Victor. But, like, wow, Karl Anthony Towns is really good. And so really the reason San Antonio's better is because of Victor. Like, the one and only reason they're better just because Victor's that damn good.
There's David Locke. When we come back, what is trending? The headlines are next.
It's time to get your morning started with the news you need to know.
News update.
This is what's trending with DJ and PK. Hashtag NBA.
Personally, I think we really don't care too much about, the winning streak or anything like that because, all that's in the past. I think to us, it's 0-0, and we just try to take it one game at a time.
This is everything that I wish for, so there's no reason to really overthink it this is what I'm built for.
This is what I'm built for. I guess it's 7-4. That's literally true, PK.
Yeah, great. 7'4". Take a 18-footer. That's what he's built for.
Maybe a 6-footer? A 3-footer? 3 feet away, you can probably dunk.
And then when you get to rebound, give it to a guard.
Game 3, NBA Finals tonight. PK referencing the end of Game 2. Quite the hole the Spurs have dug for themselves. Got to win 4 out of 5 now. Can they win tonight? Chaos at Madison Square Garden.
A week ago,
Big
you had the
dollars.
Spurs unstoppable.
I know, and they're stoppable. It's the Knicks who are unstoppable.
Well, Mikal Bridges has been on the other end of it. He was with Phoenix when they had a 2-0 lead, and they lost the finals to the Bucks. So I can understand where he's coming from.
Been there, done that. Let him be the voice of danger, the voice of reason. The president's set to attend tonight's game. Added security. No watch party outside the arena for security reasons. Tickets inside the arena. We'll get to this, PK. Big money. There's some expense accounts in New York taking a hit. People are paying the big cash. Chicago Bulls announced Stacey King passed away at the age of 59. 3-time champion and then an Emmy Award-winning broadcaster.
Oh, he won an Emmy, huh?
Yep. Gone at the age of 59.
Too young. That's when the age my father-in-law died.
Philadelphia 76ers are promoting assistant general manager Jameer Nelson to the team's executive vice president of basketball operations under new president Mike Gansey, making Nelson the team's number 2 executive. Elton Brand, who was their GM, will not return in the role and will take a new undefined role.
Well, Nelson's a Philly guy. Played there at St. Joe's. So he knows the city, that's for sure.
DJ and PK.
Hashtag NFL.
Contract stuff, it's happening, it's starting, the talks and whatnot, but not anywhere close to what we were thinking. So would love to be here long term, and as of right now, that's not exactly the case. But I'm under contract for 2026, and the guys in that locker room, the staff know that I'm still going to be me. I'm still going to do everything I can to help this team win a Super Bowl, and that's, to me, that's the priority. Everything else will take care of itself. Obviously, yes, I would love to have a long-term deal done, but they know my deadline is as soon as training camp starts, we're not doing any contract stuff. It's all ball.
It's Baker Mayfield on his current contract status, averaging about $33 million a year. It's about a dozen guys now, $50 million or close to it. We'll see how big a raise he wants, how much money they're going to leave to build the rest of the team. That is a winnable division, PK, and they can do it with him, but probably shouldn't back up the truck. He's not that awesome.
I guess not. I mean, it seems to me they already did. $33 million.
It's a lot of money. Arizona Cardinals quarterback Jacoby Brissett will report for Arizona's mandatory minicamp this week after holding out for the team's voluntary offseason program. He's trying to rework his contract. He wants to avoid being fined for not reporting, and he thinks it's a gesture of goodwill. It's not quite enough leverage there, huh?
Well, he's Jacoby Brissett.
Exactly. And the Cardinals looks like they're going nowhere, working on a draft season here.
He's me, not you.
What does that mean?
You obviously got all the leverage. We'll get to that. I got some stuff I got to say.
All right. DJ and PK.
Hashtag college football.
SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey said Friday there's no talk of a merger with the Big Ten and called the notion his conference wants to form a super league as not consistent with the truth. No super league. Think they want to expand again? That's sitting out there in 2030. We always heard about the Big Ten. We don't really hear it a lot about the SEC, at least not coming this way. Maybe they grab a couple ACC teams.
Well, yeah, if they came this way, that would be ridiculous. It needs to go the other way to get more regionally aligned. I mean, they already have it. What do they need that they don't have?
More eyeballs, more money? I mean, they already had it before they took Oklahoma, Texas, but they took more eyeballs, more money.
Okay, what do they need that they don't have?
More money to compete with the Big Ten so they can win in the playoffs.
That's it?
3-year crisis for them. That's about all they don't have. They got a lot of stuff.
So if they had the money, they'd be able to compete with the Big Ten?
Debatable, I guess, but I think it would help, yes.
How's it helped 80% of the teams in the Big Ten then?
It helped Indiana, but it hasn't helped Rutgers. Do they have the money yet? Well, and Rutgers and Maryland have more, but they don't have as much as the big dogs.
Go with the teams that have been in the Big Ten forever.
Oh, Minnesota, for instance.
Yeah, there's a slew of them.
Yeah. Purdue. Middle and bottom. Predictably, the appeal filed by Texas Tech to have quarterback Brandon Sorsby's eligibility reinstated has been denied by the NCAA. So it all rides on a court injunction. If he doesn't get that, then he'll probably try to get into a supplemental draft in the NFL. Needs a court to rule in his favor now. The NCAA Division I cabinet put off a vote on the age-based eligibility model it is considering until later this month and instead made minor adjustments to the proposal with an athlete's eligibility clock starting upon initial full-time enrollment in college or the beginning of the academic year following their 19th birthday, whichever occurs first. Previously, the clock would start after high school graduation. So is this addressing players who, I guess depending on their birthday, go to these academies for a bonus year that doesn't start their clock?
There were hockey programs also want to push back due to NHL rules and the like as well.
DJ and PK.
Hashtag Major League Baseball.
2 on, 2 out here in the bottom of the 8th. Swing and a drive. Right center field. Going back, goodbye. Jazz Chisholm, a 3-run jack, and it's 6-1 Yankees.
1-0. McGonigal line drive. Off the glove of Cole Young on a leap. Perez coming home. He will score. Kevin McGonigal delivers a walk-off 2-run single in the bottom of the 9th inning.
Highlights from around Major League Baseball there. The Yankees beat the Red Sox, winning without their big guy. They beat their rivals. Alex Bregman taking the blame for the Cubs' offensive woes. He went 0 for 5 at the plate. They lost to the Giants 2-1. They've dropped 6 of the last 9.
Good thing you didn't go for 0 for 5 in the field. That would really be bad.
I've been terrible. I need to play better. Offensively, it's been awful. I've failed many times in this game.
So has everybody else.
I haven't executed all year.
You got execute.
Exactly. Manny Machado, I guess, could say the same thing. He's hitting under 200. He's struggling. Padres have lost 11 of 13. They got beat again. So, teams that used to be unstoppable, suddenly very stoppable.
Them and the Spurs, huh?
See? What I did there? Looped back for you. Derek Skubal went 5 innings in his first rehab start since undergoing surgery on his pitching elbow this season. Could rejoin the Tigers lineup by next weekend if all goes well. That'd be a fast comeback.
Oh, I pray.
Encouraging for the Tigers, who beat the Mariners 5-4. Suspended outfielder Max Kepler, serving an 80-game ban for performance-enhancing drugs, was signed by the Arizona Diamondbacks, not able to report to the team until June 25th when the suspension ends. Bring him aboard. Bees blow out Albuquerque 15-3. Pick up the W there. And more college baseball today. Ready for a couple weather-delayed games? Alabama trying to wrap it up against St. John's today is one of them.
Yeah,
SEC with a chance to advance.
This is a real fun time because you get the College World Series, which starts coming up here this week, and you only have one team. Here, you got 8 teams, and they go berserk. It's the greatest thing of their lives, their young lives.
North Carolina taking out USC. Bedlam.
Yes.
Drama.
2 in the bottom of the 9th.
Yep.
So when that last out is made and you're going to Omaha, it's berserk. And it's fun to see. And it really bugs me that the Devils program has slipped as much as it has. That's the one thing that I really care about the most.
Get them going.
Yeah, they don't have the money. So, sucks for them.
West Virginia is in for the Big 12.
First time ever.
Yeah. Oklahoma's got to finish off Kansas. They got a lead and they're up a game, so Kansas has a chance to go, but it's a long shot, and they got to get going today. All right, DJ and PK.
Hashtag golf.
Nelly Korda wins the Women's U.S. Open 8 under. That final putt just sliding in, rolling around, using the entire hole there at Riviera, besting Charlie Hull and Gabby Lopez by 1 stroke.
She's good.
Really good. 4 majors, 2 this year now.
Don't have to one-up me by saying really good. Good is good enough.
What about very good?
Good is good enough.
Great. Excellent. Sensational. JT Poston beat Ryan Gerard on the second playoff hole to win the Memorial Tournament at 12 under. Tony Finau finishing tied for 29th place at 1 over. Jack's tournament.
Yeah, it's cool. You win and you go shake Jack's hand. Golf has the best tradition of all the sports.
BYU promotes Todd Miller to replace the retiring Bruce Brockbank as men's golf coach.
I knew it. Sources had told me.
DJ and PK.
Hashtag NHL.
McNabb rings wide. Theodore shoots. Wide rebound. They score! Off the backboards. Off the goaltender. And onto the scoreboard. A double overtime win for the Golden Knights in Game 3.
The Vegas Golden Knights are up 2-1 after a wild 5-4 overtime win over the Carolina Hurricanes. They built a 4-zip lead, gave up 3 goals in 39 seconds, got pushed to OT. But on the list of crazy bounces and weird ricochets, PK, that one's got to be right up there to win a Stanley Cup final Game 3 off the boards, off the skate, and in.
Yeah, I don't even know who did it. I don't know how it happened. It's amazing.
And yet it happened, and here's Vegas.
I watched
now
it 10 times. I'm still not sure what I saw.
Still not sure.
And then guys crashing deep into the net and goals slipping in the other side of it. It's crazy. It's a crazy series, crazy game. This is double overtime. I don't want to hear the 5th play of a college football game being called double overtime. It's simply overtime. This is double overtime. Hockey players say they don't want to hear it either. Running out there for 20 minutes and then having to go another. How many minutes did it go? How many minutes did the second one go?
I do not remember.
Saturday, so I don't remember either.
I think it was early. I think it was early in the second overtime, but it was very long.
Get over. I got to get to bed. I got to get up early.
And then it ends on that crazy play.
Yeah. Wild game, wild series.
All right, NBA tonight. NHL's back at it tomorrow. Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final in Las Vegas. What is trending is brought to you by Shamrock Plumbing. There's no job too big or too small. Get the personal touch with Shamrock Plumbing. Coming up at 8 o'clock, Steve Cleveland, former BYU basketball coach, will join us. Matt Larkin, managing editor, senior writer, Daily Faceoff, to talk about that Game 4 in the Stanley Cup Finals and the crazy Game 3 and the bizarro games we've seen so far for the first three. We'll talk with Matt coming up at 8:30. Question of the day is next. They are spending the big, big money in New York. How much would you spend for something like that? We'll get to this next. Stay with us.
For Jazz fans, it's been a rough few years. Well, those days are behind us as the Utah Jazz finally struck gold in the NBA Draft Lottery.
Picking second.
As the Jazz prepare to draft a potential superstar with the number 2 overall pick, nobody will bring you better coverage of the NBA Draft than the KSL Sports Zone. For all the breaking news, high-profile interviews, and player analysis leading right up to draft night, keep it locked on your exclusive home of Utah Jazz basketball. 97.5. The KSL Sports Zone.
Don't miss your chance to win big every week on the KSL Sports Zone. This week you can win tickets to see the legendary Rod Stewart at Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater on June 19th. Great seats are still available at livenation.com. Listen to the KSL Sports Zone all day Wednesday for your chance to win. NBA Finals Game 3 tonight. The Knicks are almost there. Tickets for the game at Madison Square Garden range from $10,000 to $50,000. What is your limit? Jason Hill, I wouldn't even leave the house unless they gave me $40,000. So Jason will be home tonight.
No, you're dumb, Jason.
Cam, I would easily pay $100. Brian, $100, maybe. Jessica, my max is $150.
$150?
And Rick says there's no way any game is worth that price.
Well, that's extreme, for sure. But it's going to be an event above all events. There it is right there. What's the average? The cheapest ticket is $48.53. Look at that. They know what we're talking about. They can sense it. On what's that show apparently called Get Up?
Yeah.
I like to think of it, go back to sleep.
Nice. Roll over.
What's the difference between Get Up and First Take?
3 people in the color of the set, and maybe 4 people. Depends on the show. Different host. Same thing, though. They knock the same topics around. There's a bunch of people talking sports. We rotate through guests and ESPN personalities. Michael Wilbon's on Get Up because it's basketball season, and he's always a big playoff games. And
this might be the greatest sporting event in the history of New York City.
I've had too many World Series for those to be special.
Everything is bigger now. Yeah. And it's been a while since the Yankees have been there, right?
Yeah.
Well, a couple years, and they've lost the Dodgers. So
a Yankees-Mets Subway Series, what was that now, 20 whatever years ago, 25, 30? I don't even remember.
And the Knicks, 53 years.
It's the drought that really makes it special. It has been so long. There's a couple generation of fans who are thinking, this could be it.
No, I was there. I don't even remember what game it was, but obviously it was in New York. It wouldn't have been in Los Angeles, so you could figure out where the games were played to figure out what game number of the series was. And I can remember sitting there in 1973 thinking, the next time the Knicks have a legitimate chance to win, 53 years later. No one would have thought that, man. Wouldn't have thought that.
They'll be back.
You just never know.
Yeah, they'll be back.
I mean, next year will be the 30th year for the Jazz. Right? 97,
Since Stockton shot.
Yeah. And when they went to the final for the first
Well, they went in 98, so it'd be 29 years since that. But it'd be 30 since the shot in the first trip, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah. So that you just don't know when things are going to come around, even if they look like they could be set up. You know, I mean, who's to say the Spurs? It looks like they're set up, but who knows? You know, you really can't say for sure that this is going to happen, that is going to happen. It's impossible to assume. I mean, a week ago you had the Spurs unstoppable, and now they're 0-2.
And the Suns looked like they were built, but they made moves and went away. I don't think I've ever been more sure than the first go-round of the Thunder. They were so good, I was sure they were going to win the title, and they got broken up. So you're right. You don't know. Yeah. It looks like they're right there, and it looks like it could and would and should happen, but you can't 100% guarantee it.
Right. But at the same time, you go up 3-0, you're going to win.
Nobody has cashed out on blown an 0-3 lead in NBA history. Only a very small handful of teams have gotten to a Game 7.
That's the uniqueness of basketball.
It finally happened one time in baseball.
But baseball, you could see it because it's pitching. Pitching is different from game to game. So stars who dominated in that first three may not play. They're not ready to go. And baseball, we've seen it in the history of the game. No-name dudes get up and get a big hit, or somebody lets the ball go through his legs, whatever. I mean, you can name the list of possibilities and all that. Basketball, it's the same cast of characters from game to game. Shooting can be fickle, but I think also, too, mentally, the teams that are down 0-3, no, they're not coming back. They just know it. And so the sense of urgency isn't there. They had their shot, and it didn't come to pass. So this is the one time when you can say, wow, this is a must-win without it being a literal must-win. The season is over. And I think in basketball, so you got that going on tonight. I don't think it would be as big if it were 1-1. But because it's 0-2 and it's in the Garden.
And nobody's come back from 0-3. And it's been 53 years.
Yeah.
And how many of these people are paying it out of their own pocket? And how many people are taking a client and spending expense account money? Hey, if you're going to go close
about $50,000.
If you're going to go close a $5 million deal, which I would assume happens, people are selling stuff, and that probably happens all the time in New York. It's not. I mean, it sounds like a crazy number, and if it's just coming out of your savings, well, then I think it is a crazy number. But if it's part of a business that's making a $5 million or $50 million deal, or trying to renew one, it's totally worth it.
Yeah, you take the joy out of it by saying that.
I don't think there's a lot of people taking their kids to the game like you went in 1973. So I think a lot of the joy has been sucked out of it. And if that sucks the joy out of it, I don't think it will for the people in the arena. They'll be, whatever, I'm here for the game, all right.
Oh, yeah.
But when you realize, like, wow, this is an auction, and I don't have the same motivation, I don't have the same bank account to compete with these, if that takes the joy out of it for some Knicks fan who'd like to be there tonight, and it's kind of like, well, I don't have that kind of expense account. I'm not signing this contract.
There's millions of fans who won't be there.
Yeah.
There will be 2,500,000 times more that are home or at a sports bar, or they're having a thing. They're not having a watch party, but they're having something over at Central Park, and there'll be multiple places throughout the city that will have that. And with that in mind, so you won't have it right outside because of someone's presence, but you will have it throughout in other different places, and it'll be so electric throughout the whole area, which covers millions of people. It would be unlike anything we've ever seen with this team here and these guys, and it's going to be the most exciting thing going on once it starts. Now, it doesn't start till 8:40 Eastern, but everything is later back there. That's the way it goes. This is the celebrities that are going to be there to get their camera time and blah, blah, blah. I'm so looking forward to the environment. This is a show beyond a basketball game, and very rarely, I think, do you have a show beyond the actual sporting event. I think the Lakers had it a little bit with their celebrities that would go at that time, but there's really nothing else that I can compare it to.
Got a little carnival on top of a big game.
Yeah, right.
I can see that.
It'll get going here if it's not already going. It's at 9:30 back there now. And
it sounded like it was going yesterday.
Okay.
People gathering and all the speculation about the seats and setting stuff up.
Yeah.
They are super fired up for a team that's gone more than half a century without a title.
Right. And it's New York.
Manhattan.
It's the biggest
heartbeat.
The biggest thing we have. And as far as I was thinking about this, I think I paid I went to see the Eagles last month. Well, actually, it's March now because we're into June. At the Sphere, and I think I paid a little over $300 each, thinking, "Oh man, this is going to be it." And then they announced 6 more shows. It makes me wonder if they're going to announce more after this. I mean, Henley went on one of those news shows and said 2026 is it. Well, we're running out of time. And it's the last show they have scheduled, they've been doing Fridays and Saturdays. So they got Fridays, Saturday in September, Friday, Saturday, 2 in September, and then Thanksgiving weekend. So the Saturday of Thanksgiving weekend. And that, if you're going to be done in 2026, you're running out of time after that. So I did pay that, but then I thought that was the highest I ever paid, and I'm fortunate enough. I mean, my financial situation is way better than my family's. My parents, when I was a kid growing up, just wouldn't have happened, wouldn't even been conceivable. I think I popped $600 for World Series.
I wondered, I've gone to World Series, and then you'd have to adjust it for inflation because it's a long time ago. Padres haven't gone in a long time, but I bought 4 tickets, and I wonder, I don't remember what it was face value at that time, and you have to adjust it for inflation, but I wonder how much I paid. But I was thinking what you were thinking. It's probably a few $100 in today's dollars.
And I literally had the last row on the very top.
That's funny you say that. That's where I was for game 3.
First base line.
I was in the top row in left field, right down the foul pole. That was a long way away.
I can't do this. I have a fear of heights. I'm not going to do this. And I concocted a way to get into the club section, in which I did not pay.
All right.
I used devious methods. And they worked.
Nobody lost anything. Nobody was enjoying that space.
Well, there was multiples. First, it was on the couches in the club section, hanging out with a bunch of Suns players. And then it was the seats that was right next to a suite in which Larry Fitzgerald was in.
Nice.
And, I mean, that's the thing about that. Even if you're not a huge baseball fan, it's an event. You got to go. Although who wouldn't be if you have an opportunity to go to a World Series game and either you get there for free or you got the means to buy them. Yeah, why not? You sit at home the next night. And so then after that, and it was like the 6th inning and somebody came.
No.
Yes. Yeah.
What? He's showing up in the 6th. Even Dodger fans think you're late.
I want to say maybe it was the 4th.
Okay.
It seems like it was midway through the game.
The 4th inning.
I thought we got it.
The 4th inning, that's over an hour late in that era of baseball.
It's a World Series game.
Yeah.
Come on. And it's not like the NBA where it's the final 5 minutes.
No, it's baseball. You got to be there for BP.
Well, you could score 5 runs in the first inning and not score again and win 5-4.
Yep.
You know, basketball, usually it's
That's true, but you got to be there for BP.
Well, I don't know about that in the World Series because there's a show outside the stadium.
Yeah.
So you can.
I have my habits. I got to be there for BP.
And I think I took in the show, hooked up with Ryan Hatch. His radio station was broadcasting there.
Nice.
And so the show outside with the bands and everything, that's pretty cool. Batting practice is batting practice. You only get the show outside. We stayed outside and enjoyed the show. Well, I concocted a way to get in, which I don't want to reveal, but it's worked for me now multiple times. And it's rather...
It's up to somebody to build a better mousetrap.
It's a genius way that I thought of. I used it at the Sphere, too, to get better seats in a Kenny Chesney concert. Just it really does work. And I'm going to use it again if I have to. See if anybody can guess. I bet you they couldn't guess it, how I did it. But it dawned on me at the game and worked. And so I didn't want to sit in the last row, but I didn't think of it right away. So they had some standing room only in left field.
Mm-hmm.
So we went and stood there, and guy next to me was from Australia, and had no idea about baseball.
He was just totally there for the show. It'd be like us going to that Australian rules football. They call it the grand final. We'd be there like kick it between the big posts.
I think he was a student, and he was going to college there. I think he was going to SU. And so he kept asking me tons of questions about the game. He really wanted to learn about the game. Mildly annoying, but not too bad, because he was genuine.
Right.
And so then about the third inning, I thought, maybe the second inning, I don't want to stand here the whole time because I couldn't see right field very well. And then I concocted this way, sent my wife up so I would hold our standing room only seat positions. And so she went. I said, go try this. I think it'll work. And it did. She texted me, I'm in. And so then I went, got in, and then we hung out in the lounge. Then we found the seats, and then a few innings later they came, but then we found other seats. They were a little farther down the left field line, but that was fine. So that was the most I paid, was like $600. That was an expensive little weekend. But Ben Anderson, who you can hear from, 2 to 6? YOLO, buddy. YOLO. Yeah. You got to go. You got to go, because he used to be here at 10.
Yeah.
And he sits in my chair, so he stands by me waiting for me to get my stuff. You got to go. Okay, I got to go.
He's right. He's right.
But it was easier for me. We get lodging and everything down there for free because of family.
Right.
And
if you were trying to go now to New York, I mean, where would you stay and what would it cost? And
I'd probably sleep outside.
But if you got the money, it's true.
And if you got the money,
the experience.
Yeah.
I mean, you're way into the Eagles. You've seen them a lot of times. To see them at the Sphere one more time.
Yeah.
It's a show. Kevin says, I got 4 tickets. Utahns going to the game tonight? Let me hear from you.
You got 4 tickets, you're going?
That's what Kevin says. He says, I got 4 tickets.
Then go on to Facebook and tell him to call in. You can respond to it, can't you?
Kevin locked his profile. Can't get in.
Yeah, but you can get on ours, and if he goes back and listens to it.
That could be. All right.
Or not listens to it, reads it. You can do that.
Okay, I will do that. Teresa says, I've got 4 tickets for sale. If anyone's interested, happy to negotiate a price. We don't want them to go to waste. Elizabeth says, I do have my 4 tickets for sale.
Where are these people?
Who are these people? Where are you getting your tickets? Are you just lying on social media?
They're in Utah?
Or, I mean, we've got people listening to us all over the place now, as you well know. We're streamed.
We
have
have 2 sets of listeners who each have 4 tickets.
And this is a Facebook post, so they follow us on Facebook. They could
it's
just
one day before the game?
Well, they could just be traveling.
I understand that.
I know. So who knows what their story is?
The possibilities are endless. I get that. But that seems a little freakish that would actually be the case.
I agree.
Now, you can't. I think scalping on site is not legal in New York.
I mean, with digital tickets and all that, yeah, people can be anywhere. I mean, that's a real risk.
You can be anywhere, but you've got to interact.
You read these fraud stories and
I had
buying stuff online it can get dicey.
This is going back 15 years. Normally in October, I'm working on Saturdays, but there was the fires in San Diego, and so the BYU game was postponed to the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So I had that Saturday off, and it's in October, and I woke up, and I told my wife, I said, man, Jimmy Buffett's at MGM. Let's go. So we drive down, literally at that time, right, on the day of. And we get to the MGM, and it's like a big indoor mall, and so you go to the casino, and then all the shops and restaurants start. And you go all the way to the end, and that's the entrance to the MGM Grand Garden Arena, and then the pool to go outside, right? So it's probably, I don't know, maybe a quarter of a mile to walk that whole thing. Mm. Well, we don't have tickets. I'll just buy them there, So I see this guy, and he's got tickets. I don't know, $100 or $200 or something, I forget. And says, okay, I'll buy them from you. I said, but And he's got the physical tickets.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna pay you until I'm on the inside. So I get inside the turnstile, and then I got the money right in my hand, and you stand right there, and I'll give you the money. He says, okay, but we got to do it right now. And we're running, and I'm running thinking, something is really strange here. Why are we in such a freaking hurry? And there's thousands of people there. And we're bobbing through all this crowd.
It feels like because the tickets aren't legit or he got them through some nefarious means and he's about to get busted. I guess he must be legit if he's going to the gate with you. He knows they're going to work. So if he's in a hurry, then there must be somebody behind him. It feels like a scene from The Sopranos, quite frankly, PK.
So we get through, and that barcode, they'll beep, and then they let you on. Yeah, you're good. And they do the thing with the little gun thing. And we go through.
Oh, the little light to read.
Yeah. You know how it is.
Well, but at first I was in Sopranos. You said the gun thing. I'm like, that gun?
I don't know. They
yeah,
have
I know
it.
what you. Yeah. The barcode scanner. It scans the
You
tickets.
said Sopranos. I didn't say.
Well,
Sopranos.
I got that in my mind.
Don't go. I said Sopranos.
Sorry.
And then we go through. I give him the money, and then he takes off into the night. But we were fine.
Yeah.
That was.
It does feel like there's some bizarro backstory there.
I'm sure there was, and they said the tickets were hot or they're duplicates. I checked with some other scalper people. Mm-hmm. I know a couple of guys who stand outside the Delta Center.
Yeah, they've been there for years.
The one guy.
They recognize us. We recognize them.
He went on the Jazz Beach Bash.
Oh, so you really spent time with him? Mm-hmm. Nice. Okay.
He and his daughter. Yeah, his adult daughter. Yeah. So when I see him, I talk to him. And he's always dressed up like in a jazz jacket, like a Letterman's type jacket. Yeah, I've seen him around. And so I asked him about it. And he said they were probably duplicate hot. And so he wanted to get in because they're only going to scan the barcode once. And then the subsequent times when you scan the barcode, it's not going to beep and you're not going to be okay. That was his supposition. Was his best guess. Right, and he's in the business, not me. So
but he hears these stories.
I'm going by what he said.
Yeah.
So I did do that. That was kind of funky. And then somehow I was at the Suns game, and I ended up with like 8 tickets. I think Locke may have gotten me some, and then Ryan Hatch got me some. I think Ryan Hatch got me in the suite, right? So I think I had like 4 extra tickets. So I thought, might as well sell them, right? But you can't do it on the plaza. Mm-hmm. And the guy tells me, okay, we're going to go down there. I said, we ain't going anywhere, buddy. I'll go right across the street, but I ain't going down the hall, down the street, down the alley in the winter when it's dark at 5 o'clock.
There's a crosswalk. There's another corner.
Yeah.
It's good enough.
So I said, we'll go right across the street, and I'll do it. But he wanted me to go down the hall, down the alley. I'm going to come back with no tickets and a bloody nose. So I'm wise
from Jersey.
enough.
You got more street smarts than that. Come on. I'm from San Diego. I got more street smarts than that.
And then one other time, I ended up with I had 4 tickets to see an Angels game. And we were only using 2. So I thought, I'll sell them. So I go out on a corner, and I'm standing there with all these guys who do it for a business. And they're telling me, okay, here's what you need to do, right? And I'm standing among them, holding up. Guy comes up, and he offers me way less. I look at the guy, the scalper dude, don't take it. I said to the guy, get out of here, man. I'm acting like I'm a pro at this, but the guys to my left, and they're laughing or carrying on because they're advising me what to do. And I was basically going to give them away for free because I didn't pay anything for them anyway. So what the heck, But I thought, I'm just going to revel in this. And I'm just doing what they're telling me to do to try to get maximum top dollar for them.
DJ PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Game 3 tonight. Top dollar. Tickets ranging from $10,000 to $50,000. Cheapest ticket looks like it's to get in right now is a little under $5,000, but that will fall right before game time or a little after it starts. Somebody will be left holding the bag. Takes some nerve to do that, though. All right, DJ PK, Steve Cleveland coming up. We'll talk finals with him at the top of the hour. Stay with us.
And I got a bone to pick with you.
Okay, bone picking next.
Welcome to This is Jay Scott and Ben Anderson.
Covers the Grizzlies for the Daily Memphian. He's Drew Hill.
I know there are differences in Memphis between regular season Jaren and playoff Jaren. And what did Grizzlies fans see from Jaren in the biggest games in the playoffs?
I thought it was a great trade for the Jazz. Jaren was not only one of the best players on the Grizzlies, but was also just one of the best people in the locker room. Like, the leadership skills were there for sure. He's going to have games where he's awesome, and then he's going to have some of these games in the playoffs where he's going to leave a little bit to be desired. The Grizzlies thought that they had a player that might be capable of being a number one on a playoff team, and I don't think he quite got to that point for them where they could trust that he was dependable enough in the postseason that you could sit back, give him the ball late in games, and he'd be able to get you bucket. It never really transpired that way.
Catch Jake and Ben afternoons from 2 to 6 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
KSL Sports Zone and Beehive Meals are honoring people that impact youth sports in our communities. Nominate the youth sports volunteer you know for the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week at KSLSports.com/contest. And listen every Thursday afternoon to Jake and Ben. They will announce the winner. It's the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week. All
So
right.
ask me who's going to win tonight.
You have a bone to pick.
Ask me who's going to win.
Who's going to win?
How should I know? I'm not a sports specialist like you. You're a sports specialist.
Apparently.
You're a friggin' sports specialist.
Well, they're news specialists.
How in the heck
sports specialists.
did you end my TV career and yet you still have yours? And you're a sports specialist. You got a title on top of it. You're a sports specialist. I'm a nobody sitting over here with no title. I'm not a senior writer. I've never had a title. I'm a minor co-host, and you're a sports specialist now.
No one's ever called you a minor co-host, although that's funny. I enjoyed that. That was good.
You're a sports specialist.
Yes.
See if you can find that, Yak, and we can just have that as an introduction. Joining us now is David, our sports specialist, David James. You're a friggin' sports specialist.
You know, I believe they said that, but it was so loud I couldn't hear them. So
I heard it.
I didn't know.
And it stung me right in the heart.
Well, how did I do it? I'll tell you. First off, I was at one station, and then I left. I went to another station. That's how I did it.
And then I get bleep canned.
I don't believe yours is done.
Yeah, but I'll never be a specialist, even if it's not.
Can you put bleep canned in as a drop, Yak? You should just routinely when we're doing what is trending, or at the end of the show when we crap the day and we recap the day and say so and so got fired. You could just drop him in bleep can.
Yeah. Because I know what it feels like.
We need more comedy like that, Yak.
There has been nobody in this town who's been fired from more jobs than me.
That's because Kevin lives in North Carolina, but if he moves back,
I get fired from more jobs in this town than anybody.
I don't get anything for that?
I gave it to you.
Okay.
But I was in the middle of a salient point.
A loud point. I don't know if it's salient.
It's not loud.
It was loud. Yak, you got the little meters bouncing in there. Was that loud?
We've learned how to speak passionately.
Well, people from Morris and Bergen counties can do that.
Everybody from North Jersey can.
I don't know, but I forgot the other county in between the two already. Essex. I was down there at the summer games doing 5 live shots on Friday, and one of them was with the woman who is the executive director of the Southern Utah Museum of Art, and she's from Bergen County, which I immediately recognized. Hey, wait a minute. That's not far from where PK grew up.
It's not.
She found that entertaining.
Is she a paisana?
I didn't get into that. Yeah.
A lot of us are.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
There's a whole gang of them running around there. So I'm from now on, I'm just going to simply defer to you because you're the sports specialist. What would I be the specialist of?
Well, I think you are the sports specialist.
No, you are. You were introduced live on television.
I was at the Utah Summer Games. You were at the Rose Bowl on the noon show. You were a sports specialist, so don't start with me.
Nobody introduced me. I was just a guest. I'm a guest. I'm nothing more than a guest.
That may not have been their, well, it probably was their branding at that point.
I was a guest.
You didn't have an IFB. You don't know what the anchor said.
What do you mean I didn't know? I didn't know what the anchor said. I could hear the Jeremiah right there.
Okay, yes. He was doing the live shot. But the anchors back in studio are usually the ones who say that kind of stuff.
I think they were on site, just on another site.
Okay, yeah.
The lady who called you a sports specialist, I think, was on site at another on the other side.
And they may have just introduced
Jeremiah
JJ.
just Jeremiah.
It could be sports specialist JJ standing by with a guy.
No, they
radio minor.
They don't even know who I am. They introduced me.
A minor radio host.
Who's hanging out with us right now?
Yeah,
don't play into it, Yuck.
They just went. They're going to go to Jeremiah and Sam, and they'll figure it out from here. And they gave me like 30 seconds, but this is my one chance at the big time.
Boom!
I'm not blowing this.
Boom!
So I gave it my best shot, like it was back in the 90s when I used to suck up to you and Locke and trying to get on sports radio at the Jazz games. I would sit next to Locke wherever he went. He went to the men's room, I went to the next stall over. And I would just unveil constantly my A material, just give it to him as hard as I could, with just trying to be as knowledgeable and witty. I don't even think he knew that I was in complete and total suck-up mode. And then it worked.
He was probably pretty used to it at that point. You probably weren't the only one.
Because I wanted it so bad. But then on outside of the Rose Bowl, right outside the main area, we had a great location. And I could tell, I did not have the IFB, and I could tell them they were telling Jeremiah to wrap it, and I wasn't even halfway through. And I could see the panic look on his face.
You are a sports specialist because you can see the panic look. You know what's happening. Even though you don't have an IFB, you know what he's being told. He's getting a panic look because I can right now. And I know what he's saying. He's like, I need this guy to take a breath so I can dive in. I can't be rude. He's the guest, but I got to get this thing over.
Right.
This dude isn't breathing.
And I refused to stop, and I refused to go. And I just kept going.
Yeah.
My one big chance.
Yeah.
I used to be on Channel 5 way back when. With Kirkland.
I have pitched,
he loved me.
I have pitched you being on again. It hasn't happened yet, but it might.
I didn't be on as a sports specialist. I mean, you're City Weekly, you're sports specialist, you're soccer extra aficionado. I'm nothing over here.
As soon as they realize they can make a buck off you, you'll be something.
Yeah. I'm nothing. I'm just put out to pasture.
Picture PK laying on a hillside eating some grass.
Right.
It's like some random cow
you
drive.
Field.
Yeah, you ran some random cow you drive by between
nothing but the horizon.
I am so yesterday. It's ridiculous.
Between two small towns on the way to Bear Lake.
Yeah, nothing but horizon on the.
I literally am the biggest nobody in town.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Thank you, Yock. It's about time
and
you said
he over
the
here
truth.
is sports specialist.
Well, okay, he's an exception over here. We know
he's an exceptional exception.
Okay, very.
I don't even know what that means. That sounded funny.
You're not a nobody, though.
That's who you are. No, I'm going to put it on my tombstone. Nobody. Have my birth date, my death date, and my name. It's not even my name.
Yeah.
I'm just going to have nobody.
It's going to be
biggest tombstone ever. What do they call them when they build like the little
museum?
Yes.
Yeah.
You need that to get all the words.
He's gonna need the scrolling like digital sign that's just got the epitaph just scrolling through.
Got to run some power out to the PK gravesite. Blinking.
Nobody.
He was a nobody. Don't waste your time. Go to the next gravesite. The headstone. Nobody cares. Did he even die? Who knew?
When we come back, Steve Cleveland, former BYU basketball coach, on NBA Finals Game 3 tonight, followed at 8:30 by Matt Larkin, managing editor, senior writer at the Daily Faceoff, on Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Finals. The first three have been pretty wild. That's coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. Stay with us. DJ PK, we are joined now by Steve Cleveland, former BYU and Fresno State basketball coach. Steve, good morning.
Good morning.
Steve, the New York Knickerbockers have won 13 straight playoff games. My experience watching sports is the teams that have big winning streaks, when it falls apart, they often, not always, but they often have big losing streaks. This would be a terrible time to go out and lose 4 or 5, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would be, and I'm hoping that does not happen. But that would be a terrible thing. I just don't see it happening. The Knicks journey. They've just done so many good things. They kind of embraced the bench. It's not just one or two guys. Obviously, Brunson is as clutch as they come, player of the year. Karl Anthony Towns probably best shooting big, Mikal Bridges and Anunoby, 2 3-and-D wings. I think they've got control of what's happening, and I think they've embraced it. And I love the fact that Mike Brown's thoughts about it's about sacrifice. Knicks need all season to get it right, and they did. And embracing Tim Thibodeau, embracing the bench. They did won an NBA Cup title. I love where the Knicks stand and where they are, and it's just fun to watch.
I like the idea of positionless basketball, having guys that can do all sorts of different things, right? And we don't pigeonhole them into a position like we used to just a few years back, maybe a couple decades. But I think it is biting San Antonio a little bit in that, and particularly on that Wembanyama turnover right down at the end, because they don't have a point guard. They can't identify one. So, go back to what people can relate to here. If Ostertag or Karl Malone got that rebound, Stockton goes right to the ball, right? And so you don't have that situation. And even if, Castle, I think that's who it was, if I remember correctly, had turned his back on Wembanyama and he throws the ball. Well, you saw Jalen Brunson there lurking, and I wonder if he would have went up and stole the ball from Wembanyama then, because Wembanyama's, when he bounces the ball to come up to him, is about the height of that Brunson is. So, and then on the other side, when it was tied 104, you've got Wembanyama taking a perimeter shot, and then obviously when it was 105, 104 with the game on the line, he takes a perimeter shot. I just don't know those two situations there. Get the ball to somebody who knows how to take it up, and do I really want my 7'4" guy? I know he's a positionless dude and he's got that skill, but is that the best offense to get in those situations?
Yeah, I agree. I think that you're in a late game situation and you're settling. That's what I would call it. Settling for, a 25-foot shot. Why not take that thing to the rim? Why not attack and then kick and get a wide open shot? I just think that the decision-making really hurt them and cost them winning the game, to be honest with you. And it was right there for them to take it and win it. And I just think that, Coach Brown, important to the fighting through and staying connected, fitting together, all of these things that, not only exist in college, but certainly in the NBA. And, I just felt like it was not great decisions, and it was circumstances that it could have been better by making an extra pass, not settling for a jump shot. All those things led to, losing that game and being in a position where they could, get themselves back in that 7-game series and make things happen. But it really hurt.
And because we watched the playoffs and the finals, and then we look at the Utah Jazz and think, what lessons do we learn? I've thought for a while now the Jazz are going to add a veteran ball handler, someone who can and to PK's point, positionless, I don't know if we'll call him a true point guard. Maybe that's what it'll be. Maybe it'll be more of a combo guard, but still a veteran who can have the ball in their hands in the last 5 minutes of close games. Does this just maybe you already thought that was a guarantee. Does this make it more likely? Is there a world in which they don't add somebody like that?
Well, right now, you look at the top three as AJ, Darren Peterson, Cam Boozer. I know there are trades and drafts, and there's lots of things being talked about. But, right now it looks like you're going to have a Darren Peterson. I think he's 6'6", 6'7", can shoot it. And he'll be surrounded by Jackson and Markkanen and Kessler. I don't know. It might be a good time for something to take place. Peterson is a good shooter. I think he's about 6'6". And, I don't know if he's the difference maker, maybe a trade to get a better player. But Darren Peterson's not a bad get either. I mean, you're talking AJ, Darren, Cam Boozer are all three guys that are expected to take out. I know the Jazz have worked out all the prospects, and we'll just have to kind of see. But it would appear that Darren Peterson is going to be in a Jazz uniform next year, unless there's a trade or circumstances. You guys may know something that's happening, but I think Peterson's a guy, and what happens there or what trades happen, we'll see. I mean, Darren Peterson, I think he's 6'6". I'm not sure his exact, all of his measurements and things, but I think he's going to be in a Jazz uniform. I think he's a guy that has to continue to work on his defense ability, defending ability, and he certainly has the potential to become a good three-point shooter.
Locke, David Locke, the Jazz radio guy who is basketball extraordinaire with all of his knowledge and stats and everything, he's thinking that Washington might be leaning towards Peterson because I would agree with him. I think he's the most skilled guy in the draft, if all things considered. Right. And so he thinks it's going to be the Jazz are going to have to decide between Boozer and DeBonsa. And he's not as high on DeBonsa as I am, for sure, because, he doesn't think he's a good shooter. My thought for you, or good enough shooter, how much can you improve shooting as you age? Because he's still only 19 years old.
Oh, no. Listen, if you can get AJ, you take him. And there's no question. I mean, you're talking about young players here, and he's a small forward, and he's a guy that'll probably be the number one pick unless we'll see what happens down the road here. But the things I like about this is AJ has proven that he can play in the mid-range game. Maybe he isn't as proven a three-point shooter, but these guys are going to spend their whole life working on becoming better shooters, becoming better defenders. If you can get AJ, they're better. I understand everybody has a different opinion on it, but the fact that he can play in the paint, that he can put it on the floor, he can create space. He's a mature young man. He makes good decisions. He doesn't take bad shots. I think everybody feels like it's going to be Darren Peterson. But if they can get AJ, I just think the Jazz become better. I know they've worked out everybody, but AJ makes them better if they can get him immediately. And I don't believe that because he's taking a lot of mid-range shots and because he does a lot of his work in the paint that he can't become a three. I mean, he's 19 years old, 18, 19 years old. They're going to get better. And I think that he has some gifts and skills. You get him in a situation where that's all they're doing is playing basketball, working on their game. He just got the physicality. He can bump and take a hit. I like AJ. If they can get AJ, I think the Jazz get better. I'm not saying that Darren Peterson can't be a key cog there or Cam Boozer, but I just believe that the durability of AJ is different than Darren Peterson.
You mentioned earlier the Knicks, all the things that they did, including embracing the change from Thibodeau. They've embraced, I guess, some of the things that he preached as far as the way they defend. His fingerprints are still on the club, but it's definitely different with Brown calling the shots. And I'm curious, as a coach, how much it bugs you to see a coach who had his team in a conference final get let go. And we're seeing this more and more. I mean, Kyle Whittingham, 10-2, and they make the change. They finish 11-2 with the bowl win with the team he built. We're seeing it in the Stanley Cup final. Vegas changed our coach out 8 games before the playoff start, and now they're up 2-1 in the Stanley Cup final. I grew up watching teams that change coaches largely pay a high price for that. It only you got lightning in a bottle occasionally, but it was usually a mistake. Now the Knicks run counter to that, and there's some other examples out here. I mean, Indiana football, 2 years after a coaching change, 16-0, it's unreal. Do you think the lifespan on coaches is shorter, and how comfortable are you with that, given the fact you're an ex-coach and you've seen a lot of what I've seen and what PK's seen?
Yeah. My thoughts initially are the word that comes to me is, patience. And I think sometimes whether it's a GM or whether it's a coach or it's a teammate, whatever the circumstances are, I don't know if I'm old school or whatever the circumstances are, but I believe that the Knicks and their journey kind of embracing the bench and how they're 2 wins away now from a championship. It's been 53 years. You got Brunson as a clutch player of the year candidate, Karl Anthony Towns, great big with Bridges and OG Anunoby. 3-and-D wings. I think everything's in place. And changing coaches, changing players, that can be a really slippery slope. And I know that the GMs and the coaches and everybody involved with making those kind of decisions, I would just take a breath, slow down, let's reevaluate this thing and realize what we have in front of us. And we know the Knicks are 2 wins away from winning a championship, and it's been a long time. And we know that Brunson and Towns and Mikal Bridges and Anunoby, this team sets. Why mess with this? Don't mess with Happy, right? Don't mess with it. You've got the guys in place, and it's just I would be really disappointed. And I still love Coach Mike Brown and talking about sacrifice and getting things right and being committed and embracing kind of the bench. And I think that's what's happening. And I am really pulling for the Knicks. It's been a long time, and I'm not a New Yorker. I'm not a guy that's lived there. But I do like the makeup of this team, and it'd be really disappointing to not see them take this and win the whole thing.
We're getting in the middle of June now, and as I look at BYU's roster, they still seem like a big man short. Level of concern that they don't get somebody, or they do get somebody and it's taken care of. But I think the fans are getting a little nervous the longer this takes.
Well, there's always going to be that. The fans are going to always be a little bit nervous and not knowing exactly what's going on. We know that recruiting at the collegiate level is happening internationally. It's a significant part of the basketball program at BYU. I think what KY is doing there, and they've got a really seasoned staff, and we know I always kind of got a smile on my face when I see about 20 guys over there on the bench. But I do believe that KY has put himself in a position with his staff, with the international recruiting, everything that they're doing. I think that they'll find the bigs they need, and it may take all summer. And I think another thing is that just the Europe situation, going to Europe, international teams and games, I think all of that, there's still time for that. And, we'll see what happens. I'm not in the day-to-day decision-making of that, but I have great confidence in KY and his staff, and I have great confidence in a program that's doing what seems to be doing all the right things. So let's just see what happens, how it plays out. But I do believe a big part of this will be the international players that they're going to find here late in the summer. Because they do need a big, you're right.
Do they need just one, or do they need more than one?
Well, get one for sure.
Okay.
Yes. Get one for sure, but you're right. I mean, you can't have enough bigs. You can't have enough guys. I mean, I love the fact that you can go into Europe or go into the international scene and find players that have maturity, who have played, on obviously teams that at 14, 15, 16 years old that are playing professionally and develop. And you have your high schools here and you have a junior college here. But, the advantage, I think, for programs to go out and seek and find players that, in fact, are in a position and have that experience, I think enhances your opportunities to get better, especially during the summer.
We had on Todd Phillips at UVU, and instead of sitting around whining because he knows he's going to lose his top players most of the time, and he's put out some really good teams here of late, and so they come for his guys. I love the fact that his recruiting pitch, even to high school 4-star kids who are coming out, hey, don't go somewhere else and maybe sit on the bench. Come here as a freshman. You'll play. And all these other guys that are going through the transfer model, I guess, that they come here, prove yourself, and then move on. It's like he is flourishing with that basketball program by working the new crazy rules to his advantage. And it just seems so bizarre to recruit somebody saying, hey, come here, play well, and then you can move on to the ACC, the Big Ten, and so forth. We've seen it, the Big 12. And it's funny that you wouldn't think that that's what it would be, but he's embracing it, and it's working. It's like when you were coaching junior college. Guys coming and going. Well, rather than whine about it, just find the best players you can and go from there, even if it's just for one season.
No, I love that thought process, and I love what Coach is doing there. I think it's just part of the world that we live in now. And I remember being, a high school and a junior college coach, and it was all about. I remember 2 or 3 players, Ray Ferhalson being one, who ended up playing in the NBA for years, and he was my point guard at Fresno City College. And the whole idea was come in here for a year. Just come here for a year. Get this thing right. Get yourself in a position where you can go play collegiately at the highest level, then go play in the NBA. And that was something we talked about all the time, that we have an opportunity here. And Coach Phillips is doing that. And I think I did that as a junior college coach, and it gave them an opportunity. And I had a number of players as a junior college coach who went on to play at a very high level in college as well as the NBA. And the opportunities were there. And so I did that most of my coaching career. I would just, hey, come play for a year. I'll get you somewhere that'll help you get better so you can get to the league. And that's what I did with every player that I coached in junior college and even at BYU and at Fresno State, where come in, take a year. And, I remember Paul George, it about killed me, but I had to tell him the truth, and here he is. He's playing. He's had a great year. And the next thing I know, after that great year, he's gone, and he's in the NBA. And it was painful. Then I began to realize that let's focus on getting the very best players we can get, and if it's just for a year, so be it. And it helped me have a better mindset in terms of just always being disappointed because I'm losing guys. Let's go find and convince, like Coach Phillips and others you've mentioned, let's go find the best player we can find. And if it's just for a year, fine. If it's just 2 years, whatever. And you work that system, and it puts you in a position where you can get somebody again, and then somebody else down the line. And that's, I think, how you have to recruit now, especially with the transfer portal and all of the things that are taking place.
All teams are built for 1 year. If you're one of the powerhouse programs, you've got the NBA taking kids after 1 year. And if you're well down the food chain, you got somebody above the food chain. So don't complain about it. And you two probably know this, but there are probably a lot of listeners who don't. It's like push is going to come to shove here pretty quick with BYU getting big men. But there is a date out there, and it's Saturday afternoon. Players in the draft either have to say, I'm staying in the draft, or that's their last chance to pull out. And so depending on who pulls out, there are going to be some big men available. Presumably BYU's been working on this, but I'm looking at the list. There's 13 guys, 6'10", or taller, who've been playing in colleges here in the United States, and there's another 5 guys in the draft who are playing overseas who are 19, 20, or 21. Now, not all those guys are going to pull their names out of the draft. Caleb Wilson is on this list. He'll stay in the draft. So it's not like all these guys are going to be available, but they're going to be some people available. And we don't know about some dude from Serbia or Spain or Greece, but they're all there, and presumably the BYU coaching staff and a bunch of other coaching staffs are all poised, waiting to pounce as soon as these guys decide if they're going pro or not.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they're doing. They're waiting. They're doing all the work they need to do. And I'm not as familiar right now in terms of calendar and when you can do this and when you can do that. And I just kind of took those things for granted. But I think that you're absolutely right. You get yourself in a position where you can, in fact, find the bigs you're looking for, whether that's, internationally or whether it's through a transfer or through a junior college. I mean, junior college, that has almost become a non-existent thing. The highest levels of national junior college guys they can tap into. I've got a good friend, Jeff Reiner, who's been up at CSI, and I sometimes talk to him and ask him how he goes about recruiting. And he says, it's not much different than the Division I level. You're trying to get guys for a year, sell them on, hey, come here, play for me, and I'll get you to Houston. I'll get you to, wherever it might be. And I think that's the mentality and the mindset. And I think that's what you have to do and realize that, hey, you do everything you can to get that big, and whatever it takes. If you don't, you keep working it. Like you'd mentioned, both of you have mentioned internationally. I think there's opportunities, and that's what the game is now. And dealing with the transfer portal is something unique. And people are here and they're not there. You gotta basically just put your arms around it, embrace it, don't complain about it, and do the very best you can to make your program better. Whatever that commitment is to, whether it's junior college, whether it's a transfer portal, whatever the circumstances, be on top of that. I don't think you can be a college or a junior college or any coach today that if you're not fully aware of what's going on around the world. And that's just kind of how it is, and I don't see that changing. The transfer portal is not going away, and that's just the world of college basketball and the world of professional basketball. That's just how things are, and you have to embrace it. If you don't embrace it, you're going to be behind the eight ball there.
Steve, we appreciate it as always. Thanks for joining us. We will talk to you again next week.
All right, fellas, have a great week.
Steve Cleveland, former BYU and Fresno State basketball coach. Matt Larkin, managing editor, senior writer at Daily Faceoff. Talking Stanley Cup Finals next. Stay with us.
Welcome to This is Chase Scott and Ben Anderson.
Covers the Grizzlies for the Daily Memphian. He's Drew Hill.
I know there are differences in Memphis between regular season Jaren and playoff Jaren. And what did Grizzlies fans see from Jaren in the biggest games in the playoffs?
I thought it was a great trade for the Jazz. Jaren was not only one of the best players on the Grizzlies, but was also just one of the best people in the locker room. Like, the leadership skills were there for sure. He's going to have games where he's awesome, and then he's going to have some of these games in the playoffs where he's going to leave a little bit to be desired. The Grizzlies thought that they had a player that might be capable of being a number one on a playoff team, and I don't think he quite got to that point for them where they could trust that he was dependable enough in the postseason that you could sit back, give him the ball late in games, and he'd be able to get you bucket. It never really transpired that way.
Catch Jake and Ben afternoons from 2 to 6 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We're joined once again by Matt Larkin, managing editor and senior writer at Daily Faceoff. Matt, good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys doing?
We're doing well. Matt, I imagine there's some hockey fan somewhere in America who's watching that game and it's 4-zip, and there's some honey-do list, or they go to the bathroom, they're pulled away from the TV for a couple minutes, they come back, or I guess it's 4-0. They come back and it's 3 goals in 39 seconds. They're like, what just happened? I just went out and moved the car. What happened?
Well, it's funny, too. It's like apparently the motto or the moral of this series is never lead a game 2-0, because the team that led 2-0 has blown that lead in all 3 games. It's been pretty spectacular, particularly because if you think of the identity of the Vegas Golden Knights and the Carolina Hurricanes and their coaches, John Tortorella and Rod Brind'Amour, they play lockdown hockey. They're known for smothering their opponents. They're known for preferring to win a game 2-1, and it's just been wild back and forth. All 3 games in this series have been absolute barn burners.
Yeah, there's no question about that. Taking a big picture view, hockey people, whether it's the commissioner or whomever, just look at the last year plus, the 4 nations, the Olympics, and now this. I mean, could you ask for anything better for hockey?
And I think I agree. And I think a real testament to it is the fact that even if you look at as hockey markets, Carolina and Vegas, they're not necessarily 2 that will attract fans from all over typically, but we're still seeing huge TV ratings. We're seeing the highest TV ratings we've ever gotten in the U.S. Throughout the entire year, and we're seeing record revenues for the NHL. So it does feel like the game is reaching a new peak right now.
I hesitate to ask you to predict anything because this series has been so incredibly unpredictable. Is there anything you feel sure about going forward?
I'm sure that it's going to continue like this back and forth, and my prediction before the series started was Vegas in 7. It still feels about right. I think both teams are just so well coached, and they're so deep, and they're so good at both ends of the ice that I just don't see either team backing down and wilting in this series. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a big punch back from Carolina. I'm very intrigued, though, to see what Rod Brind'Amour does with his goaltending situation.
Oh, you took the question right out of my mouth.
Yeah, exactly, right? Do you give Freddie Anderson a mulligan and stick with him, or do you pivot to Brandon Bussey, who was excellent? And even if you look at the overtime winner, it was an unbelievably fluky goal. Yeah. So in my mind, he pretty much didn't give up a real goal on a clean shot. So I think that's also a major factor that could determine what happens next.
This Vegas run has been magical, and it's been almost so many games have been on the edge, particularly the Utah series, which seems like it was a long time ago now. How much credit are you giving to the coaching change?
Well, It's funny because I did talk to all the Vegas players leading up to Game 1 when I was there for Media Day, and they all had really, really definitively nice things to say about John Tortorella. And he is a coach who can come in and really change a culture quickly because he has that fire-breathing mentality. But what, to a man, a lot of the Golden Knights players said was, yes, he has that part of his persona. He's very honest with you if you're struggling, but he also has a real human side to him. And I think it was Jack Eichel who told me he feels like John Tortorella really cares. And that's not a knock on Bruce Cassidy. I'm not saying that's shots fired. I'm just saying that's how the Golden Knights seem to feel about Torts. And love him or hate him, he does seem to have a really strong impact. And I think that historically, a coach with his type of persona, often, especially in the short term, will always move the needle because it's just such a breath of fresh air for the dressing room. And it's a veteran group of guys. And Tortorella even said he felt like they didn't need that much because they're a group that has already won a Stanley Cup, a lot of them. They only needed a few mild tweaks. And I think just his persona going into that dressing room has put them over the top.
I want to go back to your point about goaltending and giving a mulligan. Is it a mulligan or is it 13 goals in 3 games? So this is more than a mulligan. This is now a trend in the series. And you can't just add up the goals because it's where are you losing the puck on the ice and what kind of opportunities are you making? Are you giving Vegas to score? So you got to factor that in. And then also, I didn't go to goaltender camp, but listen to people talk about it. That it was a bad bounce and it was fluky the way it came off the boards and this off the skate and in. But a little over skating there. You're supposed to go from post to post specifically so that doesn't happen. That's a fundamental that's been covered, and you should have that down at that level. So what do you think of that take, and what do you think about the 3-game trend? Because all that has to be weighed when making this decision.
For sure, and I think it is a fair point. You could argue that Bussy, he wasn't exactly in the right place at the right time on that goal. But overall, if you look at Freddie Anderson's body of work, historically he has a history of wilting deeper in the playoffs. Last season, the first couple rounds, he was at a .937 save percentage, and he was something like .838 in round 3 against Florida. He's a big guy, and I do wonder if we're seeing his annual physical breakdown maybe just happening around later. We also have to factor in he is grieving a tragedy right now, right? He was very close to his agent, Claude Lemieux, and yes, he did come forward right after and have a great game in response the day after, which was the one that closed out the Montreal series. But we still don't know how he's really processing what he's gone through and whether it maybe could be a delayed effect that's sort of carrying into the series. So I think all in all, if I'm Rod Brindamore, I consider giving Freddie Anderson a break because if Carolina loses the next game, you can't do it for an elimination game. You can't say, okay, now we're going to go to Brandon Bussy. I think you got to go to Bussy for this one because he showed something. And if it doesn't work, you can still pivot back to Anderson for the next game. So I think this is your window. I think you can only actually do it right now. So to me, if I'm Rod Brindamore, I go with Brandon Bussy.
This is a little old, but the review in Game 2 by Vegas Golden Knights was somewhat controversial, but yet Tortorella said he would do it 10 out of 10 times. So I like the way he came out, almost like defiantly, that was saying, yeah, I would do it every time, even though it was, we know what happened and it cost him in the short term and all that stuff. But what do you think of that? Because I like his conviction to look at it and make the call, even though, in this case, with being down a man as far as a penalty is pretty significant, especially compared to the other sports.
Yeah, it's funny. I read it as someone, I was in the room when he said it. I read it more as a reflection of his personality. He's not going to give any quarter. He's going to just double down or triple down, and he's not going to admit whether it was a questionable decision. If you look at what Rod Brindamore said after, he didn't want to really get too much into it, but he did say, I don't know, I see it as if there's even a shadow of a doubt, you don't challenge. And that's kind of how I leaned. I think it was a risky challenge as soon as it happened, and obviously it proved very costly in that game.
Right, but I love his attitude, even though I took it in almost in a defiant sense that, screw you, I'm going to do it. And I don't care whether anybody likes it or dislikes it. What they think doesn't matter to me in the least.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's kind of a tort's gonna torts type of moment. He's not gonna relent, especially minutes after a game ended when his team ended up losing that game. I know technically Vegas still tied the game again after that, but still, overall, you could argue it changed the face of that game in terms of the back and forth, right? So I don't think he's going to want to just give up that admission on the spot.
Do you think fans are outraged after the goal was not disallowed the second time, or is that clear-cut enough? How many bodies get to be in the crease? It looked like a 6-car pileup in Turn 3 in a NASCAR race. How much action can there be in the crease before a goal is disallowed?
Yeah, it's really tough. I think you have to treat it on a case-by-case basis, and I think it's the only way you can do it fairly. You have to just look at, okay, who contacted the goaltender? Was he pushed in by someone on his own team? When did the puck cross the line? When was the whistle blown? All of those factors, depending on the review, you need to, I think, use a fine-tooth comb instead of a broad stroke to determine what's right. And I know it can lead to perceived inconsistencies. Well, what about this one that wasn't disallowed? This one was disallowed. But I think that's the only way you can do it with maximum accuracy. You have to just look at every little element of the play.
Mammoth are sitting on some assets and got some talent on the team. A guy like Dylan Larkin, I just saw a story that, he may want to be traded, but they were listing Panthers, Wild, or Golden Knights, and obviously that's not the Mammoth. But from the Mammoth perspective, when do you know it, or if it even comes to that, to make a deal for an established guy if it means giving up one or two of your prospects that seems like we've been hearing about, and at least here in our area, we're so much anticipating these guys arriving on the scene because we've been hearing about them for a year or two since the team moved. It seems like Bill Armstrong, you got to be careful here. You want to improve the team, but you don't want to improve the team in the short term by giving up a young stud that could be good for the next decade.
Right. So I'm guessing you're referring to Tija Ginla and Denoyer. Yeah, those are the two big ones. You're fascinating to me. And it's funny. So I did write about Dylan Larkin and about places he wants to go. I think the story on Daily Faceoff might have just gone live on our site while we're talking, guys. And I did mention Utah still in that piece because Utah to me is a team that's in a fascinating window where they've improved a lot. They've reached that critical mass of young players. And I think you're a trade away from leveling up and joining the Colorados and Dallases and Nodas. I think you could bridge that gap with one more move. And if you're Bill Armstrong, maybe you consider holding on to one, but you're willing to trade the other. So if the problem is Detroit's lost, they've missed the playoffs 10 years in a row. They don't necessarily want futures. But if they're in a situation where they don't have the right offer, they could consider taking a Caleb Denoyer, who's a center, as part of that package. And then you bring in Larkin, and then you have Nick Schmaltz, you have Logan Cooley, Dylan Larkin. You're three deep up the middle, and I think Utah, to me, is an intriguing team to make a trade like that because, one, with the prospects they have, but two, just cap-wise, if you go up and down what they have right now, most of the key pieces are under contract. There's no really scary free agent that needs to be re-signed. So there is a window to add. With the right move, you can join the top contenders. It's just a matter of, okay, yes, Dylan Larkin, he's only listed 3 teams that he's interested in, but I'm still a little skeptical on that. I think that he's going to have to expand that list. It's not always easy, especially a team like Vegas, who's in a pretty tight situation as is.
Do you think if they just stand pat in that internal organic improvement, guys getting a year better and all that, could the Mammoth be a 100-point team? 92 this year. There are only 300-point teams in the West. I mean, if you get there, it seems like you're right there at the top shelf.
Yeah, if I'm making a prediction right now for next season, I'm going to say yes, 100 points. Probably right around there. Even if you just look at Logan Cooley alone and the improvements you're seeing from him, and let's say we get a full season in which he doesn't get banged up and miss a chunk of games, that alone could give you that extra cluster of wins. Plus, you have a full season of Mackenzie Weegar now playing your top 4 on D. So I think they're already a 100-point team. I think the question is, do you make the trade now to become a 110-point team?
Ooh. Wow.
Because there were all of 3 of those in the league this year. You'd be one of 4 if you got there.
If you add Dylan Larkin and you're trading futures, so you're not pulling anything out of that lineup. So let's say if we use Caleb Denoyer as the example, you're just dropping Dylan Larkin into a lineup that was already a playoff team this year. Yeah. So I can see it for sure.
So you're fine giving up one, but not both.
I think so. And I think if it's one, it's got to be for a real sweetheart situation. So Dylan Larkin, I think he's 29. His track is quite reasonable, right? He's less than $9 million a year. And in the $104 million rising cap world, that contract is even better. So if you can get a perfect asset that has several years left in his prime and actually gives you a real chance at the Stanley Cup for a sustained period of time, then maybe you do make that exception and trade one of your top guys. Because the thing is with Utah, yes, they have Desnoyers and McGinley, but there's still more below them on the prospect ladder. They have several other, whether it's Cole Baudouin. There are so many in this system. They're really stacked. So I think they can spare one if it's for the right deal.
Well, Matt, that gives us something to ponder. Thanks for dropping that on the way out the door. Good work.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for the good debate here. Good questions.
Matt Larkin, managing editor and senior writer at Daily Faceoff. It's a 100-point team if they get everybody back and stay healthy, and it could be 110 if they trade futures and get a major impact guy right now.
Well, if you do that for that level of player.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and then, if you have big-time success, and it doesn't really matter what the youngster does someplace else.
Right.
You're okay with that. You just got to make sure.
If you get your results, they
then
can
it
get
doesn't
theirs,
matter.
then it's a win-win. Whatever, fine. You don't have to pick their pocket. You just have to win.
Right. Exactly. If you win, then whatever you gave up was worth it, because if you got to the obviously if you won the whole thing, but even if you got there to play, that's something that you can't just sneeze at, because you take your chances once you get there, because one little freaky bounce and the next thing you know, you're hoisting the cup. So I understand that. It's still, but you just can't take a player and, okay, he's doing all this over here and assume, okay, we're just going to add whatever production he had. Boom. He comes over here and he's the same player and everything's great. It doesn't necessarily always work that way.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think they just saw that this year, making the trade with Buffalo.
With Pajerka, I get it.
Yeah.
But he would probably go in the deal, I would think. But I
can see what you're thinking.
But that's beside the point. Beside the point that you're making. Yeah, it does. The transition, it just doesn't go from place A and then he comes here and he's the same player or better. You don't know. That's the somewhat, I wouldn't say necessarily scary, but it's something that has to be weighed and debated and back and forth and so forth. Because the last thing you want is somebody to come in, get hurt, not be functioning at the same level, and then in a year or two, the guy that you gave up blows up.
The thing that Matt brought up, which is a really good point, which is one where, again, we're newer to this and we got too many teams to follow at the quote-unquote major league level to be following these guys on the way up. How many, and this requires projection by, Armstrong and his group, how many of these young guys really are going to be something? And how many, like if you think you have.
Not all, certainly.
Right. And if you think you have like 2 or 3 who have a really high chance, and you got another 3 who have a decent chance to be something, or 2 more, whatever those numbers are, how many of them can fit given the roster and who's going to age off the roster? It's really what the Oklahoma City Thunder have. They have so many good young players, and they have so many draft picks. Like, they got to move some. They got to do some 2-for-1s or 3-for-1s. Now, it might be a stretch to say the Mammoth are in that position. You got to go evaluate that, and we can't really do that sitting here right now.
But our boy Teej, we've been hearing about him and thinking, he's supposed to be all this.
I'd be surprised if he's all this and what we've heard about him, that he'd be in the group. But given that you have...
So you give Desnoyers?
You have some in the group, and you have other people in the system, I would think those. But wouldn't be the first time we've heard, hey, you can have, and you follow baseball, you know this as well as anyone. Hey, we got prospects in the minors. You can have some of them. You can't have that one. Now, whether you try to protect 2, and that's the whole negotiation, the back and forth.
I would go with Desnoyers, because Desnoyers, it's hard to say. It's like when my kid was in grade school and doing the capitals, and she says Desmones.
Nice.
So basically,
Bill Armstrong needs to understand that your charge to him is build a Stanley Cup champ, but Build a Stanley Cup champ with names that are easy to pronounce.
Yeah. I mean,
There's a
how
lot
do you
of
get
talent out
Noye
there.
ever Des Noyers?
Cooley?
Of course, he's looking at me saying, wait a second, how do you get Tawil out of Tolier?
See? Cooley and Keller, fine.
Yeah.
But you start getting 10 syllables and French
And
pronunciations.
French pronunciations, yeah.
So right away, biased against prospects out of Ottawa. There it is. Okay.
I mean,
Quebec.
come on, Rudy Gobert. I mean, what are we talking about here?
Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert. Once he managed to master the language, I loved interviewing Rudy Gobert. He's gauging when he could do that. All right, more with Rudy Gobert coming up. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Well, ticket prices for Game 3 in New York City ranging from $10,000 to $50,000 to get into Madison Square Garden. Apparently, the cheapest one they could find, ESPN ran a thing earlier this morning. It was just under $5,000. Somebody was sneaking in for $4,700 or $4,800 per ticket.
I'd pay $5,000.
You would not.
Fetch, I wouldn't.
You would not.
You've never been in the Garden for an NBA Finals game.
I agree, but I've watched you spend money. So I'm going to go with you would not.
I've been in the Garden for an NBA Finals game.
I could see you talking yourself into $500 for you and the missus to go to the game.
No, she'd have to stay home.
No, you're not going by yourself. Again, I've seen you go out to dinner. I've seen you go golfing.
My father actually did that. He was a Brooklyn Dodgers fan.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they played World Series games in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And he took off work and bought one ticket.
I do know a friend of the family. The kid grew up and moved to Seattle, and he played soccer growing up in that. And so he bought one season ticket to the Sounders and got to sit at midfield because they had one they couldn't
but this
sell.
isn't a friend of the family. This is my father.
Yeah, cool.
I'm named after him. I'm his blood.
Was it a one-off?
I'm half Irish.
Because once he got in, then eventually he gets a girlfriend, gets married, and then he's buying 2 season tickets.
I'm half Irish. Get me a Guinness.
And then you don't want a Guinness. And then he gives them up because now they're saving because they want to have kids and start a family. So he's all grown up and he's
That's
out.
a mistake.
Yeah. Okay, let me text him and let him know that. So. Yeah, there's a time and a place. You ever go to a movie by yourself?
Oh, yeah. I've been on the road 1,000,000 times.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's a good example. Yeah. Yeah, my wife was working Monday through Friday. I was working Wednesday through Sunday. I go to a movie on a Tuesday.
What are you
going on?
You got to check out of your room because you're driving down to Denver.
But the game's at 7 and you're checking out at noon. What do you do?
Yeah.
Lock that suitcase in the trunk and go to a theater.
Exactly.
Got to go somewhere.
Plenty of times.
Classic. 10 to 50 grand. Now, what are they going to do? Because they're not going to have the watch parties. And now there was some thought the president, and that's because of the Secret Service. Now there's some thought that he would stay for Game 4 if they're going for the sweep and win, and other people think he won't. But when the crowd surges, like Milwaukee always sticks with me. Milwaukee hadn't won in 50 years, and when they were winning the clinching game, people were just spontaneously going down the arena.
Oh yeah,
and it just kept getting. And they were showing during the game, the crowd's getting bigger. The crowd's getting bigger. Like, what will they do in New York if everyone it won't happen in Game 3.
Well, they'll have the watch party in Game 4.
If he's not there.
He's not going to be there.
Oh, for sure? Okay.
Well, I listened to a press conference on the way going in this morning.
Oh, okay. That's way later than what I heard.
And the police folk said he wasn't going to Game 4. He was only going to Game 3.
Going 3, okay.
Now, of course, if they lose tonight, then Game 4 is not a clincher anyway.
Right.
But if I were him, man, I show up in a retro Clyde Frazier jersey with nothing on underneath.
That Larry Miller moment.
Yeah.
Walking across.
But not necessarily the shorts.
I was saying with the shorts, though?
Not the shorts.
Okay.
But the jersey? Yeah. Oh, yeah. And give
Clyde.
me a Nick cap, slightly askew. You got your street cred right here.
Does he put on like the fake orange and blue glasses that Spike wears?
No, that's Spike's thing.
Okay.
You don't want to.
How many of the?
You don't want to incite anything. That's not his style.
If they're trying to.
That's nice.
Okay, never mind. I'll save that question for later. I'm not topping that line. All right. When we come back, Oh, there's nothing PK loves more. He loves more than a breaking story from our courts. But in this case, you're going to make an exception because this is going to impact a game. It's going to impact the field of play. Texas Tech has their ruling. Surprise! Next. Stay with us. Join Scotty G and Coach Tim Lacombe Wednesday 10 to 2 at RGS Exteriors, 4235 Farm Road in West Jordan. Texas Tech has gotten what they wanted. Now we'll see if they can keep what they wanted. But
Cody got what he wanted.
Cody got what he wanted. Cody is Texas Tech. Brendan Sorsby, court decision this morning.
Out of Lubbock.
The court out of Lubbock, yes.
Lubbock County.
The court has reinstated Brendan Sorsby. They will allow for a 2-game suspension, which I think is Abilene Christian and Oregon State.
No, 2 games of his choice.
Those are the 2 games of his choice.
Yeah, but make it even more preposterous.
Back for the Friday night conference opener with Houston. It can be appealed, so this isn't the final word, but he got the decision, so he'll be eligible for Game 3 in the conference opener against Houston, despite the fact he gambled on his own team.
This is awesome.
Distinctions were made in the court decision because he bet on individual players to overachieve versus whatever the bet was on their performance, and his defense lawyer pointed out he didn't bet on his team to lose, nor did he try to manipulate a game, nor did he play in the game. So keep moving that line, and the line moves more.
You say he bet 40 times on Indiana football.
This is I want literal betting during games.
Players over on the sideline with their phone.
And they need to be mic'd up.
Guys, I'm taking the over-under on touchdowns in this quarter.
Bachmeier's running for this first down. But you can only be, here's the new rules. Defense can bet on offense, and offense can bet on defense.
We go now to our in-game betting analyst, the third-string defensive end over here.
But then when you move the bag back more, it'll be, well, your defensive players can bet on the defense if they're not on the field because it can't impact that play.
No, that's too much.
Oh, that's too much?
Yeah.
You don't want to see some corner tap his helmet, sub out, saying...
No, because...
Put a bet down.
No, I want them not to be focused on their position coaches when they're not on the field, to be on gambling. Yeah.
Got the whiteboard. Yeah. They're drawing stuff up. And meanwhile, there's a guy like, I saw a prop bet in here I like. Right. What was it?
Right. We're going to get a pick on this play. Joe Blow is going to have a pass deflection. Player X is going to have a sack, or at least a pressure.
Exactly. We're calling a blitz on this play, so I'm taking a pressure over under.
And you have a little inside info. Because the offensive guys,
your in-game betting analyst is the third-string defensive end.
The offensive guys will have headphones on to listen to the defensive calls.
There's that famous photo. Game for Our Youth. You've seen it. It's been out there for like 40 years now, right? It's right before Joe Montana throws the touchdown pass. There's a timeout, and he's standing there with the hands on the hips, and it's kind of casual thing. He's talking to Bill Walsh. You just Photoshop Ronnie Lott in there, like.
Yeah, right.
It's like, I'll put 100 on Clark to make a catch.
Yeah. You know the play. I mean, come on. If we're going to be allowing it, where does it end?
Well, so far, everything we thought we knew about college sports, when it gets to the courts, it gets beat.
So you could do everything Sorsby did.
Apparently. Yeah. You've got the prior. Right. Yeah, you'd cite the prior ruling.
Yeah.
Assuming it's held up on appeal, which seems inevitable that there will be an appeal. The reason we have these constant transfers where kids are transferring every year is the NCAA lost in court. I mean, it's not like they turned around and said, yeah, we think you ought to have multiple transfers. They went to court and they got beat.
And I want transfers within the seasons. You could be eligible during the season.
That would be, I think that original ruling, the serious one, not the thing you just threw out there, was because other college students can transfer every year. Why can't an athlete transfer every year? It's the basis. And to your point, you can transfer every semester. I mean, when we were in college, we knew kids who transferred in or out at a semester break. So that would work midseason for basketball. And I guess for football, it would work, hey, we need reinforcements for the semifinal game. Come on down.
Oh, and the postseason doesn't count. I mean, there are no rules. And when the college season starts, it'll be another great season full of exciting action with sold-out stadiums and record TV ratings
and players we don't know.
All the stuff that matters. Who cares?
They all moved around.
Who cares?
No,
if you know?
apparently you're right. No, apparently. We don't know, but whatever. That's fine. Catch the touchdown pass, throw down the dunk, hit the big three, whatever.
Right. Well, I mean, they're only here for a year anyway.
Yep.
And so, like Kevin Young. Kevin Young's roster is basically year to year. He's going to recruit players who go to the NBA, and then the other guys are going to leave.
Transfer.
Yeah.
Well, we just saw it.
Yeah.
And we'll see it again.
And as long as they go and do their thing, who cares? Now, BYU, you want them to represent you well, and the two guys who are lottery picks did do that. So this is beyond anything that I thought possible. When gambling was just known as the ultimate no-no, and it just couldn't have been done, it seems now archaic and ridiculous that Pete Rose wasn't a first balloter.
Because Sorsby's a third
What's
gamer.
going on with people in Cincinnati? I mean,
this is Sorsby and Rose.
Yeah. Right.
Rose was in Philly for 4 years. What was happening there?
Well, Sorsby's in Lubbock, and Sorsby, where was he?
He was in Indiana.
Indiana.
He was in Bloomington when the
that's
betting
where
started.
it was, in Indiana.
Yeah, Cincinnati's like, don't put this on me.
Well, no, he was betting while he was at Cincinnati too, but he bet on his own team while he was at Indiana.
Yeah. Right. In Cincinnati, he didn't have time to gamble on the games because he was the starting quarterback.
Well, he was
too busy.
He was still betting, and then he moved to Texas where it's illegal, and he was sending money out of state to people to bet for him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all that is just added on. And somebody in Lubbock County, you're eligible.
I want to be able to go home tonight.
And then I read the rules. I read some of the comments, and the guys, if you think this is wrong, you don't understand the rules. And you open up his Twitter feed, loyal Texas Tech Red. Of course
there's
you are.
no chance he was
It's
a Texas.
all about winning.
There's no chance he was a Texas Longhorn
Houston or whomever. This is I don't see how
Although
they can
the
do
judge,
this.
didn't you say the judge was a Houston Cougar?
Yeah, but
The original judge had dual degrees from Texas Tech, both undergrad and law school.
Yeah, and so does he want his tires slashed? Look where he lives.
PK, he recused himself from this case.
That's the first one, not the second one.
The second one is a Houston law grad.
And it's in Lubbock County. He don't live in Houston.
No, but he is actually from Tarrant County, which is over near Dallas.
BFD, where does he live? Where does he live his life?
He lives in
Lubbock. He could have gone to the moon. I don't care.
Wants to be able to walk around town without getting the evil eye from everybody.
Yes.
78-year-old grandmas.
Tech.
You wrecked our season.
They have approximately 0 professional teams in that community. And Cody Campbell is the most popular guy. I pull in the parking lot at the Cowboy Stadium, and in the back of the truck, I see a sign that covers the whole window that says Cody Campbell for president. Yeah, and he's on the Board of Regents. I think he's the chair of the Board of Regents. He runs the friggin' town. How do I know that he didn't slip the guy or the third party didn't slip him money? Not saying that happened, but everything is, if it's the Wild Wild West, then it's the Wild Wild West. And if it is that, the WWW, it's just like the WE. Anything goes, man. It's wild. There are no rules. Do whatever you want. Yeah, Sorsby, go out and bet today. What's the difference? Bet on whomever you want. Why stop now? Once you have an addiction, does it ever really go away?
The Knicks.
And gambling? I've been around gamblers my whole friggin' life.
Any of them ever stop?
Yeah, when they lied and told you they did. And that's the reality of it. I've got family members, and when they talk about gambling, I don't believe them. And I tell them, I don't believe you. Because it gets in your blood, man. I've seen it. That's why I got out when I was younger. And I went to the racetrack 3-4 times a week from like 13 to 20. But I didn't have any money, so I'm running around $2 bets here and there. But then you start getting and you get a little success. Or that's why I transferred out of NAU.
Too much chaos.
The gambling that was going on in the dorms. I told myself There is no way I'm going to graduate if I stay here. No. That 1.6 wasn't working. And this is a true story, man.
It really was a 1.6.
I kid you not, man.
Okay. Seriously, when you said that, okay, that's funny. But no, it really was a 1.6.
Because
that's why you would say you're not going to graduate.
I recognize the situation.
You're below the Mendoza line.
I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Or I am not going to survive. And I'm paying for it. Mom and Dad ain't paying for it. They didn't pay a cent. I'm paying for every penny.
And you've got a mentor in your ear. Well, you maybe had sisters in your ear too. You had to graduate. Yeah. You got to graduate. You got to graduate. You got to graduate.
Yeah.
They knew about your 1.6?
Probably not.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Keep that detail.
But I knew, and I got put on probation.
Yeah.
And I knew I had to get, and I went to what is recognized as a big time party school.
Yeah.
But the reality is, when I went there, I got lost. Nobody knew who I was.
Yeah.
I was by myself. There's 50,000 students running around. I got no friends. I'm by myself.
But you were separated from a lot of bad influences.
Yes. So
a lot of noise.
And I was able to, and I was working 25 hours a week. I worked at Taco Bell when I was at NAU.
The busier you are, the less trouble you find.
Right. And it was grow up time. It was either you're going to make it or you're not. And you're going to be stuck working a construction job at 110 degrees. And so gambling we joke about it, but it's not a joking matter when you get down to it. I mean, I've had relatives who were imprisoned because of it. And this is crazy that what happens. I knew a kid who my wife taught at Washington High in L.A., which is in South Central, 108th and Denker. It's right below the flashpoint of the riots. And he then went to ASU and got caught up in that. And the kid was a good kid. I knew him. I knew his family. My wife knew his family. And he got caught up in that, and it just spiraled out of control. And then you're trying to make up for it. You think you can make – we'd all heard it. You don't have to be on the inside to know the stories. We all know the stories. And where's this going to go now? This isn't about Brendan Sorsby. Where's this going to go? How many lives are going to be ruined because of this?
There's no telling. The gambling ads are nonstop. The only thing that matches the gambling ads when you're watching live sports right now is the ads for drugs for whatever ails you. They're selling everything.
Yeah, and be responsible with gambling. That's going to solve it.
There's two things in these ads that always catch my attention when I'm drifting mentally during a commercial break. And one is in the ads for the drugs, they always there's the pause, and then they say, it could destroy your liver, it could destroy your kidney, it could destroy your lungs, it could destroy and they all these what ifs, be careful if you start,
And you're asking 18-year-olds to be careful.
Yeah, and then in the gambling ads, it's there's always a number for Gamblers Anonymous to get help, call this toll-free number. Then the print's always small, it's always said really fast. Maybe they even speed it up a little bit at the end of the gambling ad.
Right. That's something that's a disclosure that doesn't do anything.
So both those ads, there's a lot of money in the medicine and there's a lot of money in the gambling, but they have to do this disclosure to make it okay. But that's all done by lawyers. And that's all done by insurance people who are essentially lawyers' first cousins. How do we cover ourselves? It's what you always say, follow the money. Yeah. That's why those disclaimers are there.
And
so we're covered.
Live footage inside the courtroom in Lubbock.
It's a Saturday Night Live skit with two guys who are both hilarious. Those two are hilarious.
The judge, what's Keenan's last name? Is it Reynolds? What's his last name?
No.
Thompson?
Yeah, Keenan Ivory Thompson.
Keenan Thompson, yeah.
And who's the Pete guy who's got the tats removed now? His name's Pete.
Yes.
Pete Davidson?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so the judge is now, and Keenan Thompson has the best comedic face in the history of all time.
He gives you the sly side eye,
you can't help but laugh.
You start giggling.
Right. And so he's shaking hands, and Pete's over there giving him a bro handshake.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we got going on now. Yeah, a judge in district court in Lubbock County, Texas, granted an injunction.
So, York, you can do you're good at this kind of stuff. How many appeals can there be? Does this end up in front of the Texas State Supreme Court or what?
That's the thing. You probably got 2 rounds of appeals here. I think there's the Texas Court of Appeals and the Texas Supreme Court. Now, you could appeal it to the United States Supreme Court as well, but he also wants to enter the NFL supplemental draft, which is supposed to be deadline is June 21.
Well, there's no need to enter the supplemental draft now and risk money.
Yeah,
You're
agree
losing
with you on
$5 million bucks, and the judge says, "Well, he'll be irreparably harmed." Yeah, well, duh. Anybody who's going to go to prison is going to be harmed.
I just wonder how much his legal.
I read
fees
that. I thought you thought I was like, yeah.
No kidding. There's no consequence for the action.
How much has he paid in legal fees to get this ruling as well?
They're probably, as long as you win, they're probably giving him for free. Pro bono, pro Sonny Bono. So, man, this is crazy. I just wonder, where's it going to end now? Where do we go? And so, cannot a pro then? And it's because if you take him out of that or her out of the sport, you're going to do that individual irreparable harm. Well, no, you what?
There was who was the wide receiver who got busted for gambling?
Jamison Williams. He got 6 games, and he didn't even bet on his own team.
It did him up for irreparable harm.
Wasn't there a Falcon I was thinking of who missed a whole year?
Yeah, you're talking about Calvin Ridley.
Yes, Calvin Ridley. Yes.
But there have been multiple guys who've been dinged in this instance. And the other thing is the NFL will have their say on his status if and when he enters the draft. Because they don't take lightly to guys betting on their own team. Because to BK's point, if you are an addict, you are considered an addict for life, aren't you?
Yeah.
And
It's
the NFL is going to have that question surrounding this kid forever.
DJ PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Everything you missed in this show next. Stay with us.
3, 2, 1. This is Scotty G and Coach Tim LeCoux.
Look, private equity doesn't like to add costs. They like to limit costs because they have a bottom line that they have to hit. I just hate when you've got somebody who has been working in the marketing department forever or who's been a sports information director forever, and they're doing their job and they're busting their butt and they're trying to tell good stories, and those are the guys that are going to get affected.
And to me, it's just a direct response to BYU having all the money they need at their disposal, a built-in way to fund the program. There's nothing about this deal that screams win to me. I don't like the feeling of it. Matt Hayes summed it up best at the end of his article. He said, this is the same Utah Athletic Department that wanted so badly to push out football coach Kyle Whittingham at the end of a 10-win season, but was willing to pay him $13.5 million over the next 2 years to do so.
Catch Scotty G and Coach weekdays from 10 to 2, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Picking second will. Personally, I think we really don't care too much about the winning streak or anything like that because all that's in the past. I think to us is 0-0, and we just try to take it one game at a time.
This is everything that I wish for, so there's no reason to really overthink it. This is what I'm built for.
Slacker Reddit Headlines brought to you by Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan Wealth today, your local trusted financial fiduciary. Call them at 1-855-TRAJAN1 or visit their website at TrajanWealth.com. Just heard there from Wemby. He is built for this. No intimidation. He's ready to go. Win game 3. 2-1. Oh, the pressure's on in game 4 then.
Yeah, this is big-time pressure for these guys. The Spurs coming back from 3-0 seems highly unlikely. So let's see what they got going forward here tonight. It's not like it's an impossible task. It's difficult, but it was always going to be difficult, whether they were up 2-0 or it was 1-1 or whatever, 3-1 or whatever. Whatever the series might be, every game is going to be difficult, but I don't think it's impossible. You get down 0-3, then if I'm Sorsby, I'm putting a lot of money on the Knicks.
Nice. Way to tie the hour together. I like it. If you were here for the last segment, Brendan Sorsby has the restraining order he wanted. Got the court decision he needed. He'll miss 2 games. He'll be eligible for that Friday night game, Houston and Texas Tech.
I wonder if he thought it was going to come. I bet he didn't.
You thought, yeah.
No, I don't really. The idea being, I bet.
Oh, I bet he did it.
Well, okay. There was an account I saw earlier that said How much of this was like a play for him to lower his Heisman odds so he could get in on the ground floor?
Nice.
With something
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. Unintended consequences, right? We didn't think about that. We didn't think that all the way through.
So, anyways. But nice bet, Joke PK.
You did reference the Bridges sound there. You're like, well, that's the voice of experience, right?
Yeah, he was with Phoenix. He was one of their players when they went up 2-0 Milwaukee.
How'd that work out?
And that's a franchise that has never won. They've waited longer than 53 years.
Trying to do the math?
I think they came in like 1970.
They were in that coin flip, so I thought they came in 69, but...
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So 69, 70?
But the point is, it's...
or 68, 69.
It's been longer. It was before 1973.
Yeah. And they've never won it. They've had 3 chances. 3 finals appearances. And so they lost. They were up. I don't remember where the games were. My guess is they won the 2 in Phoenix and then went back to lost 2 in Milwaukee.
57 years, according to Wikipedia. Third longest streak behind the Kings and Hawks. Clippers, Knicks, and Jazz. 6 teams are over half a century right now.
Well, when you've never won it, whether it's 30, 40, 50, whatever.
Yeah.
They've never won it. So here we go. See what happens tonight. Critical game. I mean, the Spurs have a brand new life if they win.
Gives them hope. Puts the pressure on the Knicks in Game 4.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to squander a 2-0
Be
lead.
up
in which you
2-0
won the
coming
2
home, and then
yeah.
have to go back to San Antonio 2-2.
Right. That to me, that would be very difficult psychologically. But, not to Sorsby thing. I mean, if I were betting, which I never would, I would go with New York. I think they've got the momentum. They have the confidence. The Spurs, it's just not their time. Whereas the Knicks they're just a mature team.
Phenomenal.
Compared to San Antonio.
13 straight playoff wins. They were down 2-1 to the Atlanta Hawks. There was nothing to suggest this was about to happen, and yet it has.
Yeah, I always thought they were going to beat the Hawks, though.
Sure, but you didn't have them win them 13 in a row and going to the finals.
I never would have anybody doing that.
Right, yeah. The East looked wide open. Man, they're the team that charged through it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
I mean, what Vegas has done in the Stanley Cup final, because they were down 2-1 in the first round also to Utah, and they've gone 13-3. And that's impressive, but at least it's precedented.
Well, more reasonable.
Right.
In terms of comprehension.
Yeah. As opposed to 13-0.
Right. Yeah, that's just amazing.
We talked with Steve Cleveland, former BYU and Fresno State basketball coach, about the NBA Finals. You can get that wherever you get your podcasts. And you also talked with him about getting a big man. BYU clearly needs one. And I get you got to have one before you have 2. But don't they need 2? I mean, if they go in with 1 and then they have another injury, we're going to be talking about the same thing.
I don't know if they need 2. I'd have to see. But you got to worry about getting 1. You can't be worried about getting 2.
You can't win them all until you win the first one, and you can't get 2 big men until you have 1 big man.
Yeah, unless they're like it was the Lopez twins.
Package deal like Stanford.
Yeah. Or the Collins twins.
Also
both
like
those
Stanford.
guys, yeah. It's kind of funny.
Chicago Bulls announced Stacey King passed away at the age of 59. 3-time champion, Emmy-winning broadcaster. 59. So young.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
That is a shocker. The golf over the weekend. How about Nelly Corda? Haven't you ever made a face or groaned or something when a putt just barely lipped in or just barely lipped out? That ball, the super slow-mo shot of that ball going in the hole to win the Women's U.S. Open when she had a 1-shot lead, that's as close as it can come to going out and then drop in.
That's golf, though, man. You because there's plenty of putts where you think they're going to drop and they don't. So you take that every time. And she's a premier golfer. She's engaged, so we'll see how that affects her career.
The arc of her career here.
Yeah. Does she, in 3 or 4 years,
want to step away and have kids?
Yeah.
We've seen it.
It's a common occurrence.
Yeah.
With
star after star, decade after decade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's funny. We were talking about that last week, and then I just channel surfing this weekend, and or maybe it was one of the weather delays. They threw on the New York Mets 30 for 30 about 1986, and Ray Knight is in it, and at the time, Nancy Lopez is right there. He was talking about an at bat, literally. I got this. Making eye contact with her in Game 6 before he went up there because he was part of that. The comeback and the ball eventually rolling through Buckner's legs. Yeah, and they were married at that point.
And she
walked away at the height of her powers. And who was the golfer from Ochoa?
The Mexican lady.
From Mexico, yeah. She was on top of the game, totally dominant.
Mm-hmm.
Annika Sorenstam, it's just the list goes on and on. So
Lexi
we'll see.
Thompson recently retired after getting married.
So how do you the Grand Slam, baseball, Grand Slam, 4 bases, right?
Mm-hmm.
4 runs. And then the Grand Slam for men's golf and men's tennis and women's tennis is all 4 events, but they have 5 majors in women's golf. You win 4 out of 5, you get a grand? Because she's 2 for 2 this year.
I don't think
How does that work?
It is it's neatly packaged.
It is not.
As it is on the other stuff.
Right.
So, but she is right now the preeminent, certainly the preeminent American golfer. I mean, I think you'd also say even beyond the Americans, LPGA golf. She's the one everybody's aspiring to. She's the draw. Whatever money is available at the LPGA level, it's largely because of her right now. Now, others, she's on the shoulders of others that have built the game.
Right.
But right now,
but of the
she's
stars on the tour right now, she is the top star.
Oh,
There's no doubt. Right.
And I was watching her. I was watching a lot Saturday, and I could see her lurking. I said to my wife, "Oh, she's lurking. She's within distance, and tomorrow's going to be a big day." And sure enough, she gets the job done. Charlie Hull played in the St. George one.
A star, but not the star. But yeah, she was right there. 1 shot back. That lips out. She's in the playoff. We talked with Matt Larkin, managing editor and senior writer at Daily Faceoff. The Vegas Golden Knights up 2-1 after a crazy game. They had the 4-goal lead. They gave up 3 goals in 39 seconds, but they win in double overtime. When a puck hits the boards, bounces back, hits the goaltender's skate, and goes in for the game winner. As crazy hops go, that's about as wild as it gets. That was pretty weird. And now Vegas is up 2-1. And he talked about that. He thought Vegas in 7 when the series started. He hasn't seen anything that makes him think differently. And then you got him going on should the Utah Mammoth push the chips to the middle of the table, as Dennis Lindsay once said, and use some of these assets they have, some of the young players they have in the minors or junior hockey on their way up, get an established star and go for it, or should they let this play out over time? And he's of the opinion that they are a 100-point team next year if they just bring the group back and stay healthy.
Well, there's that progression that you can see. That's not outrageous, but jumping it up like that.
But he said 110 if they make a big move and stay healthy and everybody improves. 110 would be within reason.
Well, it's easy for me to say if you make the right move, yeah. If you don't. But I'm not the one making the decision.
Right.
My job, I get paid to second guess, not first guess. They have to first guess. And it's not, I wouldn't use the word guess with those guys. I think they're too much involved in it to say the word guess. It is, gamble, risk probably is a better word. What level of risk are you taking? If they acquire a star who comes in, whether it's Larkin from Detroit or whomever, and elevates them and they're in the Western Conference Final, well, then it's the right move. But if things collapse and they regress, then it's the wrong move. I mean, it's so simple to say, but for them, it is something that has to be weighed. Because then, could they wait a year or two? Because they still are young enough, some of their guys, some of their better players, that they could wait a year or two. But, man, and we just look at them as a 2-year deal. They don't look at it as a 2-year deal. They've been rebuilding a lot longer than that because in Phoenix, that's what it was.
Yeah.
And so
players, coach, front office, depending on, you're talking, 3, 4, 5 years.
And then you have to look at your competition
You know, who's prepared to win now to where you would be competing with them? Is now the time that you got to jump in. The Houston Rockets, the prime example, that was the time. They jumped in and they got their 2 titles.
Yeah, and that's the thing that we frequently say with the NBA. The NBA, this year aside, seems more predictable. Now it's becoming less predictable as the three-point shot becomes more predominant.
I think it already is predominant. I don't think it can become any more predominant.
And that's
why help us if it does.
And that's why we've had 7 champions in 7 years, and we're about to have 8 in 8 years.
Well, yeah, I think that, but that I don't know if it's a 3-pointer. I think it's the fact that the Warriors were if the Warriors were 5 years younger, they'd be winning titles now. It's just their dynasty, their run ended.
Right.
If they were earlier, the 3-point shot being whatever, they would win now.
The salary cap rules have also made it hard to keep teams together and break them up. And that Warriors group benefited from the jump in revenue, and instead of breaking it up, they were adding to it. I mean, they brought Durant on board,
which was needless.
It was total overkill. It made it super predictable in that era.
Yeah.
But hockey doesn't seem to have the same thing. The nature of the sport is just not unusual.
Well, yeah.
I mean, the team with the best record.
It's not unusual
to have the best record and get knocked out without winning the cup.
Well, yeah, the best players are playing a third of the game.
Right.
That doesn't exist in the NBA, particularly in the postseason. Their minutes usually increase. Rotations get shorter.
They're playing 3/4 of the game or more.
And I was thinking about that watching the double overtime the other night. Guys, when they're on the ice, they don't really have time to coast.
No.
And so they have to go full speed. You wonder why they don't play longer is because a high percentage of the time, the nature of the game requires them to go full speed.
There's a lot of sprints.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stopping and starting.
Right.
And that takes a ton of energy.
Right. So you can see why they're not playing as longer. And the depth is important, up to 3 levels of depth. You need to basically have 3 units, 3 teams, whatever you want to call it, 3 lines, probably to use their terminology.
It's 3 pairs of defensemen, but there's a 4th line for the attackers. Mm-hmm. And how much you have in that 4th line, how much you can minimize. It's like having a 4th starter in the baseball playoffs. If he's awesome, it's such a luxury and it's an advantage. And if you can hide him and stash him, all the better. Get some production while they're on the ice so that 4th starter's on the hill, then it works.
It's going to be an interesting summer for the Mammoth. I think it's going to be a fascinating summer for the Jazz. It's going to be a higher level because the Mammoth already established themselves. The Jazz haven't. And they got to go about establishing themselves.
And watching the end of Game 2, when the Spurs had a chance, and actually you can go back to the Thunder series as well. They've had a couple opportunities where who gets the ball, when, where, and why, they got to tighten up the act. Now they got so many young guys, you get it. You know why they're making these mistakes, but that's why do the Jazz bring in a veteran guy. And when we brought that up with Steve Cleveland, he's basically like, well, if they draft Peterson and you already have these other younger guys, how many roster spots do you have? How will they prioritize this?
Well, Peterson can be that guy you're looking for.
Except my thought is you want a veteran out there.
He can still be that guy you're looking for.
But he's not a veteran. Ace isn't a veteran. Keontae isn't a veteran.
He's a veteran now.
Who?
George.
He's a 4th-year guy, but he hasn't played a single playoff game. So if you're trying to build a team that's going to win in the playoffs, you want to have someone who has playoff experience. At least one guy in that group.
You're going to have to rely on Jackson. But talent. That's what OKC had, essentially. I mean, they had some playoff experience, but minimal. But they had the talent. And they were going up against a team that had as much playoff experience as they did, except for Siakam.
Right. Siakam had won in Toronto. He went to Indiana, and he was the one guy in the finals who'd been there and done that.
So that sort of washed it out a little bit. It's clear to me that the Spurs simply aren't ready now, nor do I think their team is good enough.
When Wemby sits down, they're not usually very good.
No, and he's your go-to guy, but I don't know that he's ready to be a go-to guy. And because his perimeter skills are such that that's what he wants to do. He went 0 for 2. It was tied 104, and he takes a shot that was even longer than the game-winning shot. Nobody else had the ball in terms. It didn't seem like they were immediately looking for him, and he's one of them. He's 7'4", but at the time, his height has zero advantage because he's not using it. He wants to be a perimeter guy. What's the point of being 7'4" and shooting jump shots? I can get Harper, Castle, the list. We know who the guys are. I don't like that, and that's going to be a problem.
And especially when it doesn't work. I mean, you wouldn't like if it went in, but if it went in, it'd be 1-1, and we'd be talking about something else.
Well, he had 2 shots. Neither of them went in.
Yeah.
And do I want him bringing up the ball? No. What's the point of being 7'4", bringing up the ball with the score tied and 13 seconds to go?
The only reason to do that whole point forward thing that Don Nelson started.
He's 7'4", he ain't a forward.
Now it's a point center.
No, it's not.
It's a point skyscraper.
It's a point wrong.
It's because the guy defending you usually can't pressure you. And so someone else will bring it up against pressure.
Brunson
but you
was right there to pressure him.
And that was
in the
to your
back
point.
court, 80 feet from the basket.
And that's your point. If he can bring it up without facing any pressure, fine. But when he faces pressure, how high does he dribble PK?
Well, yeah, the length of Brunson's body.
As tall as Brunson, yeah. How's he going to dribble and keep the ball close to the floor, which makes it harder to steal?
Right, and at that point,
7'4".
the seconds are ticking away.
The other thing is to put him in the middle of the court and to relieve the pressure, throw the ball to him up high, and then he pivots and looks down court. It's just 2 quick passes.
But nobody
bang, bang.
went to get the ball. Oh, they have 4 guards, essentially, and nobody went to get the ball.
Yes, and there's the play.
And Mitch Johnson over there, he probably didn't even tell him.
And they've been talking about this on TV this morning because they showed the play in the Thunder series where Wemby had the ball and he threw it up court and hit his teammate in the back. I think it was Castle, but it might have been Harper, but I think it was Castle. And he's like, well, you're the point guard. I'm going to throw you the ball. And the guy didn't even turn around.
But he's not. They don't have one.
And there you go. All right, DJ and PK. When we come back, your feedback next. Stay with us. DJ and PK, it's time for your feedback. What do you have to say about today's show? Should we do that or should we just do Cody Campbell's feedback?
Whatever you want.
Texas Tech booster and board chair Cody Campbell to On 3 on Brendan Sorsby being declared eligible by a court in Texas, in Lubbock County. He's going to have to miss the first 2 games of the season, but he'll be eligible for Game 3, Texas Tech Houston Big 12 opener on Friday night, if it withstands the inevitable appeal. So Cody Campbell, this unfortunate situation is the outcome of a broken system. I'm doing everything I can to fix it, but until there's a permanent solution, Texas Tech and its student athletes have to do the best they can to navigate and compete amid the chaos that exists in the reality of the world we live in. This is what is the term the kids use, Yak?
Bull crap.
Sanctimonious BS.
No, that's what your elders use.
No,
we would have labeled it BS.
This isn't the system. This is
not the system. The system
is old as time.
The system is he's suspended. This is turning the opposite. Gaslighting is the phrase I thought you were going to throw at me.
The gaslighting.
Because he's set it upside down. He says, commit among the chaos that exists. You're creating the chaos. The rule's been in place forever. You get busted gambling. You're suspended for a year.
This is the one rule you can't bet on your own team. It was hard and fast.
So there are people who've gambled on their own team in the past who've missed a year. There are other people who've been suspended for a lifetime.
Hunter Deckers at Iowa State. He was a quarterback who bet and was exiled from the NCAA.
But 2 games, this is the chaos. This is gaslighting.
Those are big games, though. They lose those 2 games, man. I don't think they're going to get in.
Not losing their money game. And then they got Oregon State, who's coming off, what did Oregon State do last year? 10 losses? Or was it more than that?
But, I mean, you got to go on. You play a Pac-12 team. That's dangerous.
They were an independent last year, essentially.
Not this year. Who cares about last year?
Because they're rebuilding from that nightmare.
They're a Pac-12 team.
The reaction is largely, Cody, you're full of it. That is largely the reaction right now, the immediate reaction.
Follow the agenda. It will always lead you to, obviously, the motive. He has an agenda. He wants to win. He wants to win at all costs. He's a 50-some-year-old guy who gets his jollies watching his college team win. And he's going to do whatever it takes to get them there. And, I just don't know that they're ever going to get there. So, in essence, his money is going to be wasted year after year.
Yeah, but the chasing, it's the fun of it.
No, not for them.
No?
No.
He's not having fun chasing?
Sure, but it's always going to end in massive disappointment because he wants it all. A guy like me, if the Devils go 8-4,
you can have fun. They won the conference. They went to a playoff.
Especially if they beat the U of A. But that's good enough.
But you took satisfaction in winning the conference title 2 years ago.
Well, because it was so unexpected. But if it happened 4 years in a row, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. And that's what Texas Tech is going to have.
But how much satisfaction did he take last year? And literally, you're the two schools that won the conference championship.
And then they got shut out.
Yeah.
But they're never going to be
Ohio State
good enough.
Yeah.
Because the best players aren't going to go there.
Some people will say things like, we won't get outbid. And in Texas, they don't have to say it because it's already understood.
But it's an outpost. There's
right.
guys.
No matter what Tech spends, Texas will call and raise.
Kids from the Midwest aren't going to be clamoring to go to Lubbock because they can get at least ballpark the amount of money. I mean, we had Todd Phillips on the other day, and he's talking about these kids. Well, he wanted over $300,000. That's too much. So examine this. To go to UVU to play basketball, you're going to get $300,000 a year? Sign me the crap up. You're not going to get that anywhere else.
That was too much.
You're not going to get it in sports talk radio or in TV. Yeah.
Right. Now, you can get it combined TV and radio. That's another.
Oh, now you're going Scotty G.
You said, no, I'm going sports specialist. You said TV or radio.
Yeah,
I know a guy not far from me who's a sports specialist who does TV and radio. I'm just saying, man, hey.
Yeah, you can say that.
I know, and I'm saying it accurately.
He's not making that.
Have we rebranded this the sports specialist and the other guy?
Yeah, it's, the sports specialist and nobody. Sports specialist and what's his face? The guy who used to be on television before he got bleep canned for the second time.
Have you cut bleep canned yet? That drop needs to be in there. There's going to coach is getting fired. Major League Baseball, they could fire a manager tomorrow.
I could get fired. Bleep canned.
That's it. You just have to have that handy.
I'm running out of time as we speak.
When we come back, we'll be gone. Scotty G and the coach, Tim Lacombe, take over. 10 o'clock right here on The Zone.
Bleep canned.